Chapter 161. How could Xiao Chen not know what he meant? He cursed in his heart and smiled faintly. What else can we do? Split it among the three of us. When Song Qianhe, who was severely injured by Qing Yun Peak's secret technique, saw that Xiao Chen wanted to split his spirit stones, he scolded angrily, "You bunch of paupers, trash! Don't touch my spirit stones, otherwise Xiao Chen could not be bothered with him. He stepped on his face and interrupted him. After that, he stomped on his face a few times. Withdrawing his foot, Xiao Chen slowly placed the lunar shadow saber on Song Qianhe's throat. The danger of death frightened Song Qianhe until he turned pale. Don't kill me, my father is the peak master of Bi and Peak. He is already a peak martial king. If you kill me, you will not be able to escape. Chu Xinyan advised, Young Master Yi, we cannot kill Song Qianhe. If we kill him, we will have no way out. Xiao Chen found it funny. Even at this moment, she is still talking about not killing Song Qianhe. If I let Song Qianhe go, could it be that I am waiting for him to recover and seek trouble for me? Just as Xiao Chen was deep in thought, a dagger flashing with a cold light suddenly appeared in Song Qianhe's sleeves. He got up and stabbed at Xiao Chen. Song Qianhe seemed to have prepared this move for a long time. It was incomparably fast. Although Xiao Chen was deep in thought, he kept his guard up. Just as the cold light was about to reach him, he quickly dodged to the side, dodging the killing move that Song Qianhe had prepared for a long time. Pu Ci. Seeing Xiao Chen dodge, Song Qianhe instantly changed his target. His right hand moved quickly and the dagger stabbed into Chu Xinyan's body. It dyed her pure white clothes red. Song Qianhe did not stop and quickly let go, pushing Chu Xinyan away. There were still a few flame cloud colts there. It was an opportunity for him to escape. Xiao Chen's expression turned cold. A huge black hand appeared out of nowhere. Just as Song Qianhe was about to mount a flame cloud colt, it grabbed him tightly. Xiao Chen pulled back with his right hand, causing Song Qianhe to scream as he was pulled back. With a loud bang, Song Qianhe landed heavily on the ground. Xiao Chen went up and stepped on Song Qianhe's face, continuously stepping on it. After a while, Song Qianhe's handsome face was badly mutilated from being stepped on. He groaned in pain. Don't kill me. Xiao Chen could not be bothered with him. A cold light flashed on the lunar shadow saber and he hacked at Song Qianhe's neck. When Chu Xinyan, who was in Lu Suifeng's embrace, saw this, she said weakly, Yi Chen, don't kill him, you can't. Were all women so narrow-minded? You nearly died, yet you still say not to kill me. Xiao Chen smiled coldly to himself. He paused for a moment before continuing to chop down. Every true inheritor of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion has a trace of qi stored in the main hall. If you kill him, they will investigate your identity immediately. The Divine Saber Camp will chase you to the ends of the world, Chu Xinyan said anxiously. There is such a thing. Xiao Chen knew a little about the Heavenly Saber Pavilion's Divine Saber Camp. It represented the most elite force of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. Everyone in there was an expert and they had a lot of combat experience. Xiao Chen felt very depressed. He spun his saber and the back of the lunar shadow saber hacked at Song Qianhe's neck, knocking him out. When Chu Xinyan saw the situation, her pale face relaxed. She took out a porcelain bottle from her bosom and handed it to Xiao Chen. There is a medicinal pill in there. Feed it to him later, and it will erase all his memories of today. Xiao Chen was slightly stunned. He received the medicinal pill and pried open Song Qianhe's mouth. Then, he ruthlessly shoved the medicinal pill down Song Qianhe's throat. Lu Suifeng looked at the wound on Chu Xinyan's chest. He did not know what to do. He said anxiously, Yi Chen, what should we do? The dagger is still stuck in Xinyan's body. Should we pull it out? Xiao Chen frowned slightly. He lowered his body and looked at it carefully. Song Qianhe's move was very ferocious, it was very strong. Song Qianhe had stabbed the entire dagger in. Fortunately, the situation was urgent and he did not injure any vital points. The dagger was stuck in Xinyun's left shoulder. Lu Suifeng had already sealed a few acupoints nearby, temporarily stopping the bleeding. Put this medicinal pill in first. I will try to see if I can pull it out now. Xiaochen took out a blood-replenishing pill from the universe ring and handed it to Chu Xinyun. Chu Xinyun received the blood-replenishing pill and a strange light flashed in her eyes. She was not in a rush to put it in. Instead, she asked, Yi Chen, did you refine this yourself? Xiaochen was currently trying to figure out how to pull out the dagger stuck in her left chest. He did not have the time to answer her question in detail, so he just nodded his head vaguely. Xiaochen turned his spiritual sense into a thin thread and sent it into the wound. He saw that there were countless tiny hooks on both sides of the dagger. They were tightly embedded in Chu Xinyun's flesh. Xiaochen took in a deep breath of cold air. His impression of Chu Xinyun changed slightly. The hooks were tightly embedded in the wound. It was easy to imagine what kind of pain it would bring to her. Chu Xinyun was in such great pain, yet she was able to remain so calm. It was not simple. Lu Suifeng, who was at the side, asked, Yi Chen, are you confident? This dagger has to be pulled out as soon as possible. Otherwise, the longer it drags on, the more serious it will be. Xiao Chen's expression turned grave. Naturally, he understood this principle. However, he was not a professional. Although he had his own ideas, he was not 100% sure that it would work. There are many hooks on this dagger, they are already embedded in the flesh. Furthermore, the wound is very deep. I am not very confident. After hesitating for a while, Xiaochen decided to speak the truth. Xiaochen placed the jade cloud pill in his mouth. The refreshing medicinal energy turned into a cooling sensation as it gathered at the wound and slowly circulated around. Chu Xinyun felt the pain lessen significantly. She revealed a warm smile as she said, I believe in you. Do it. Lu Suifeng also said from the side, Yi Chen, do it. Be decisive, don't drag this out. This Lu Suifeng made it sound simple. This concerns a human life. How can I not be cautious? Xiaochen thought to himself. Xiaochen took out a piece of wood from the universe ring and handed it to Chu Xinyun. Here, put it in your mouth. What is this for? Chu Xinyun asked suspiciously as she received the piece of wood. Xiaochen was a little speechless. He did not expect that she would not understand such a simple principle. He explained, although I know you are very good at enduring, the instant I pull the dagger out, it will be extremely painful. I'm afraid you will not be able to resist biting off your own tongue. When Chu Xinyun heard how horrifying Xiaochen's explanation was, she was somewhat afraid. She slowly placed the piece of wood in her mouth. When Xiaochen saw the situation, he smiled faintly and said, Can I ask Miss Xinyun a few questions? Just shake your head or nod your head to answer me. Chu Xinyun nodded her head. Xiaochen asked, Miss Xinyun's double eyelids, are they natural or acquired? Are you born with one eye and you shake your head the other day? What a strange question. Chu Xinyun's face was filled with doubt. However, she still nodded her head. Xiaochen smiled faintly and continued to ask, then Xinyun is really a natural beauty. There should be many guys chasing after her in the Heavenly Saber Pavilion, right? A blush appeared on Chu Xinyun's pale face. She looked like a pure little red flower in the depths of the mountains. She looked exceptionally pure. Although she was embarrassed, Chu Xinyun still nodded her head. Xiaochen smiled faintly and continued asking, with so many pursuers, has Miss Xinyun taken a fancy to any of them? Have you ever had a passionate relationship with one of them? Xiaochen's questions were getting more and more embarrassing. Chu Xinyun's neck was already red. This was the first time someone of the opposite sex was so direct, asking her such a question in front of her. She shook her head to indicate that she had not. Xiaochen continued to ask such questions, slowly diverting Chu Xinyun's attention. His right hand had already unknowingly grasped the dagger hilt. Xiao Chen was extremely focused. He focused all his spiritual sense on the wound where the dagger was inserted. He carefully observed the taut flesh on the barb of the dagger. It's time, Xiao Chen thought to himself. It's time to be ruthless. Xiao Chen had a smile on his face as he said very sincerely, if that is the case, then Miss Xinyun has no experience with men. What kind of question is this? Lu Suifeng's jaw dropped. He did not expect Xiao Chen to ask such a perverted question. Chu Xinyun's mind also went blank. Her eyes revealed anger as she stared at Xiao Chen. It was like she wanted to cut him into 1,000 pieces. However, Xiao Chen could not be bothered with her. The instant he asked the question, he focused all his attention on the wound. He did not dare to be distracted. Xiao Chen's spiritual sense could feel Chu Xinyun's emotions fluctuating rapidly. The flesh on the barb of the dagger started to contract rapidly. Shua! Xiao Chen took advantage of this opportunity. When the barb of the dagger was completely squeezed out, he decisively pulled the dagger out. Blood spurted out and splattered all over Xiao Chen's face. Xiao Chen quickly pressed on the acupoints in front of the wound. Only then did the blood stop spurting out. Looking at the smooth dagger, aside from blood, there was no flesh on it. Xiao Chen smiled in satisfaction. Chu Xinyun had not recovered her wits yet. She was distracted earlier and had almost forgotten about the dagger in her wound. The sudden intense pain caused her to frown. Her facial features scrunched up as she bit the piece of wood in her mouth. After a long time, she finally caught her breath and spat out the piece of wood in her mouth. Thinking of the earlier question, she could not care about her weak body. She sent a slap at Xiao Chen and scolded, "Hooligan." Xiao Chen smiled faintly and easily grabbed Chu Xinyun's wrist. He used his palm to strike her neck heavily, causing her to faint. Lu Suifeng asked anxiously, "Yi Chen, what are you doing?" Xiao Chen explained, "She is extremely weak now. Her body will not be able to take it if she gets angry like that. It is best for her to rest first." Actually, Xiao Chen felt a little guilty in his heart. He was afraid that Chu Xinyun would continue to cause trouble. Oh! Lu Suifeng nodded and suddenly remembered the earlier matter. He asked hesitantly, "Brother Yi Chen, what did you mean by that question? I have to explain this matter to him. Otherwise, there will be a big misunderstanding." Xiao Chen said, "The design of this dagger is very vicious. There are barbs all over it. They are already deeply embedded into Chu Xinyun's flesh." Although she did not cry out, her body was actually in a state of high tension. Her muscles were very tense. If Xiao Chen could not think of a way to distract her, she would bleed twice as much when she draws the dagger. Chapter 162. After Xiao Chen said this, he paused for a while. He took out the dagger and said, "The surface of the dagger would not be as smooth as it is now. At the very least, a large piece of flesh would come out. I'm afraid she would be in so much pain that she would bite through the wood." Lu Suifeng thought for a while and felt that what Xiao Chen said was reasonable. His expression turned warmer as he said, "Yi Chen, thank you. Not only did you help me retrieve the ice crystal flower, you even saved Chu Xinyun. Xinyun must still be misunderstanding you. I'll help you explain later." Xiao Chen smiled faintly and patted Lu Suifeng's shoulder, "Don't say that. I received so much care from elder sister Ryue in Qingyun Peak. Doing this is something I should do. As for explaining or not, there is no need. After all, her situation is more or less recovered. I am not familiar with her, so it is fine to take the blame." After Xiao Chen spoke, he took out a blood-replenishing pill and a roll of bandages from his universe ring. This bandage was something he had bought for himself after he was injured by the ice ape last time, just in case. The bandages were coated with good quality medicine, they were much more effective than ordinary bandages. Xiao Chen handed the bandages and medicinal pills to Lu Suifeng and said, "Go and bandage her wounds." Lu Suifeng received the bandages and medicinal pills and gestured around Chu Xinyun a few times. However, he did not know how to do it. After a while, he said with a flushed face, "Brother Yi Chen, you should do it. I really have no experience in this." "Damn, you just told me to be more decisive. Now that it's your turn, you are shrugging." Xiaochen said helplessly, "Aren't you chasing after her? This is such a good opportunity to show off, yet you are giving it to me. Are you kidding me?" Lu Suifeng said hesitantly, "Men and women should not touch each other. I'm afraid that when Xinyun wakes up, she will blame me." Normally, Lu Suifeng was very carefree. Now, he was acting like this. Xiaochen felt impatient in his heart. He took the medicinal pills and bandages back. See law. This was not the first time Xiaochen did this, he was very familiar with the process. In an instant, he tore off a long strip of the clothes around Chu Xinyun's wound. A large patch of snow-white skin was revealed. Xiaochen had already trained his mental fortitude long ago. He took out a blood-replenishing pill and crushed it before applying it on her skin. Then, he lifted Chu Xinyun's arm and bandaged it up. Done. After tying the bandage, Xiaochen got up and said faintly. After doing all this, Xiaochen started to collect the spoils of war. He actually found another 50 inferior-grade spirit stones on Yan Tianjing's body. In addition to the inferior-grade spirit stones from the 7 Biyun Peak disciples, Xiaochen had a total of more than 200 inferior-grade spirit stones. When Xiaochen was tidying up Song Qianhe's universe ring, aside from some medicinal pills and spirit stones, he unexpectedly discovered the 3 flowing cloud images martial technique. Xiaochen gave half of the spirit stones to Lu Suifeng. However, Lu Suifeng insisted on not taking it. He said that he was already very satisfied with the ice crystal flower. Furthermore, these people were all killed by Xiaochen. It was not reasonable for him to take more spirit stones. Xiaochen was helpless. He symbolically gave him 10 spirit stones before Lu Suifeng was willing to take it. After that, Xiaochen started to clean up the battlefield. He burned all the corpses on the ground with his purple thunder true fire. When Xiaochen saw the flame cloud colts not far away, he noticed that these spirit beasts did not scatter. Xiaochen was afraid that he might have left some traces behind. So he could only kill all these valuable flame cloud colts. After looking at the unconscious Song Qianhe on the ground, Xiaochen revealed a look of disgust. He kicked him and sent him hanging from a tree branch at the side. After doing all this, Xiaochen walked over to Lu Suifeng and said, "Chu Xinyun needs to pick those herbs. There is no time to waste. I will help her pick them. When she wakes up, we will leave immediately." Lu Suifeng thought for a while and said, "I don't remember very clearly. She only thought I said it once." There was ice heart grass, hidden frost flower, frost fruit, and there seemed to be purple snow lotus. They were all rank 5 herbs, they were not hard to find. Xiaochen thought for a while and said, "Take care of her first. When I return, we will leave immediately." After Xiaochen spoke, he quickly left the place, disappearing from Lu Suifeng's vision. After a while, he stopped on top of a large tree. The spirit core in Xiaochen's spiritual sense quickly extended out. Instantly, all the surrounding herbs appeared in Xiaochen's mind. There were too many herbs. Xiaochen started to give instructions, eliminating all the herbs that were not rank 5. After that, he only left about 100 rank 5 herbs in his sea of consciousness. This way, it would be much easier to find them. Xiaochen opened his eyes and revealed a faint smile. He had already found where the ice heart grass was distributed. There were rank 4 spirit beasts, frost snakes, in that area. Xiaochen thought for a while and came up with a countermeasure. It was just a rank 4 spirit beast, there was no need to spend too much effort on it. On the other side, as Xiaochen was doing his best to pick the herbs, Chu Xinyun woke up earlier than expected. The main reason was because Xiaochen had underestimated Chu Xinyun's strength. Furthermore, because her body was too weak, he did not deal a heavy blow. Chu Xinyun slowly woke up. She felt dizzy. After a long time, she slowly woke up. She looked at the bandages on her chest. Her pretty face immediately turned red. She said to Lu Suifeng, "Suifeng, who tore my clothes?" Lu Suifeng was startled. He was afraid that Chu Xinyun would misunderstand him. He quickly distanced himself. "Brother Yichen was the one who tied it up for you. I'm not very good at this." Chu Xinyun revealed a sullen expression as she struggled to sit up. She leaned against a tree and said, "This Yichen. I originally thought he was just a smooth talker. I did not expect him to be such a lecher. He does not care about propriety or honor. No wonder senior sister Leng scolded him as a lecher." Lu Suifeng felt ashamed in his heart. Seeing that the situation was getting out of hand, he quickly repeated what Xiao Chen had explained to him to Chu Xinyun. After Chu Xinyun heard it, she thought about it for a long time. She knew that what Xiao Chen said made sense. Knowing that he had misunderstood Xiao Chen, he had an awkward expression on his face. However, he did not want to admit defeat. He said, That doesn't mean he could just casually tear a girl's clothes. Furthermore, he said such vulgar words. Bang! Xiao Chen's figure suddenly landed on the ground, kicking up a cloud of dust. He was surprised to see Chu Xinyun awake. He said in astonishment, "When did you wake up? You need to sleep for at least 10 hours. Otherwise, your body will take a long time to recover." Seeing Xiao Chen suddenly appear, Chu Xinyun's face turned even redder. Xiao Chen looked at Lu Suifeng, and the two of them exchanged glances. Xiao Chen understood what was going on. He could not help but sigh in his heart. This matter was nothing in his original world. However, it was so troublesome in this world. He tossed a bottle of blood-replenishing pills to Chu Xinyun and said, "If you insist on not sleeping, then take this medicine for 3 days. Take it orally and apply it externally. Take it once a day." After Xiao Chen spoke, he waved his hand and passed the herbs he had picked to Chu Xinyun. A silver warship flew out from his right eye and he jumped onto it. Lu Suifeng supported Chu Xinyun and followed. When Xiao Chen saw the two of them board, he immediately controlled the warship to fly towards the entrance of Evil Wind Valley. After a while, Chu Xinyun organized the herbs. She discovered that they were all the herbs she needed, not a single one was missing. She walked behind Xiao Chen and thanked him in a soft voice. Xiao Chen smiled embarrassedly and said, "There is no need to thank me. We are even now." He thought about his actions carefully and felt that there were indeed a lot of things that were not appropriate. Although his actions were done with good intentions, it was inappropriate to say those words to a girl. This was probably the reason why Xiao Chen helped her pick the herbs. In the end, he wanted to make it up to her. "That's right, Suifeng. Are our 3 horses fine?" Xiao Chen changed the topic. Lu Suifeng said, "They are fine. If we leave, the people there will continue to take care of them for us. When we have time, we can come back to collect them." The journey was silent. Xiao Chen did not say anything after that. He piloted the silver warship and raised its speed to the limit. It turned into a silver bolt of lightning as it flew through the sky. When they could see Lingyun mountain range, Xiao Chen slowed down. There were countless restrictions of various sizes in the sky above the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. If it were not for the Heavenly Saber Pavilion's warship and spirit pet, they would not be able to barge in even if they had 9 lives. Naturally, Xiao Chen would not make such a mistake. When they neared the foot of the mountain, they slowly landed the silver warship. Then, the 3 of them headed for Lingyun mountain range. After entering the mountain, Lu Suifeng wanted to send Chu Xinyun back. Xiao Chen returned to Qingyun Peak alone. At this moment, it was nearing dusk. By the time Xiao Chen rushed to Qingyun Peak, night had already fallen. Xiao Chen had experienced a lot of things today. He felt incredibly fatigued. After he entered his room, he immediately went to sleep. In the middle of the night, Xiaochen vaguely heard a series of violent knocks on his door, startling Xiaochen awake. Xiaochen opened his eyes unwillingly. He was in a bad mood as he opened the door. He called out, "Who is it? Are you not letting me sleep?" Pu Si. A sharp killing chi covered the sky and earth. It startled Xiaochen to the point where he was no longer sleepy. He suddenly woke up and quickly retreated. A small saber flashing with a cold light brushed past his nose. "Are you awake? Do you still want to sleep?" Naturally, aside from Lu Riyue, there was no one else who could use such a valiant method to chase away his sleepiness. Xiaochen looked at Lu Riyue, who had a cold expression and a grave expression. He asked carefully, "Elder sister Riyue, what happened? Why did you wake me up in the middle of the night?" Lu Riyue's eyes turned slightly red. She said angrily, "You still have the cheek to say that? After such a big thing happened, you did not even say anything to me before lying down and sleeping. Do you not respect me, your master?" Xiaochen had never seen Lu Riyue so angry before. Although she had a bad temper in the past, it was different from today's situation. Aside from being angry, Lu Riyue also seemed a little sad. Her tone was filled with disappointment. Xiaochen quickly thought of why Lu Riyue was angry. He explained, "Elder sister Riyue, I feel that I have already dealt with the matters in Evil Wind Valley. There are no more problems." Chapter 163. Suddenly, a pig's head appeared beside Xiaochen. It said in a trembling voice, "Yi Chen, quickly apologize to my sister. She knows everything." The sudden appearance of a pig's head startled Xiaochen. After he looked carefully, he discovered that it was a human face that had been beaten swollen. Xiaochen looked for a long time but could not recognize this person. "Who are you?" "Wu. I am Lu Suifeng." Lu Suifeng's mouth was swollen as he stuttered. He was crying in his heart. Even Xiaochen could not recognize him. When he went out tomorrow, it would be over for him. Xiaochen felt ashamed in his heart. He tried to explain for Lu Suifeng, "Elder sister Riyue, actually, for the sake of retrieving the ice crystal flower, that was my idea. It has nothing to do with brother Suifeng." Lu Riyue shook her head, "You are not in the wrong. The one in the wrong is Suifeng. He was careless in the past and exposed his whereabouts. Furthermore, he even brought an unrelated person with him. We had to obtain the ice crystal flower. Even if we had to offend Biyun Peak, we had to get it back. You were able to help Qingyun Peak retrieve the lost ice crystal flower. Not only were you not in the wrong, you also performed a meritorious deed. However, I do not understand. After such a big thing happened, why did you not tell me immediately? Do you know how serious this matter is?" Xiaochen felt guilty in his heart. He said in a soft voice, "I thought that after Song Qianhe consumed the medicinal pill and destroyed all the evidence, it would not be a big deal." Lu Riyue smiled coldly, "You are too naive. That little vixen is the same. Let's not talk about whether there is an antidote for a medicinal pill that causes a person to lose their memories for a day. Even if there is no antidote, he will only forget today's memories. If he had planned this from the start, even if he forgot today's events, he would be able to deduce who snatched the ice crystal flower based on where he was." Xiaochen's back broke out in a cold sweat. Why did he think of this? He thought that as long as Song Qianhe forgot today's events, there would not be any problems. Now, it looks like he thought too simply. Lingyun Mountain Range, Biyun Peak, a place with extremely dense spiritual energy. This was the peak where all the spiritual energy in Biyun Peak gathered. It was also one of the 7 branches of the underground spirit vein in the entire Lingyun Mountain Range. It could be said to be one of the places with the most abundant spiritual energy in the Great Qin nation. Cultivating on it would allow one to absorb spiritual energy 4 or 5 times faster than a regular person. However, there were only a few people in the Heavenly Saber Pavilion who could enjoy such treatment. An old man sat cross-legged on a boulder at the peak of the mountain. The spiritual chi in the surroundings was like a mist, constantly pouring into his body. Wisps of green smoke rose from his forehead. This person was the peak master of Biyun Peak, Song Quebec. His cultivation had already reached the peak of Martial King, and he already had 1 foot in the Martial Monarch realm. 20 years ago, many of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion's elders had died. An expert like Song K was now one of the top 10 in the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. Pooh! 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 The sound of hurried footsteps could be heard, and a figure quickly rushed over from the foot of the mountain. He carried a thick saber on his back. When he was about 10 meters away from the old man, he slowly stopped. He had an extremely nervous expression on his face. When Song K felt this person, he slowly opened his eyes. There was a gleam in his eyes as he looked at the person. He frowned slightly and said unhappily, "Gong Ming, didn't I tell you not to disturb me for the next half a month?" This person called Gong Ming was Song K's last disciple. Although he was not a true inheritor of Biyun Peak, his status and position were much lower than a true inheritor's. In the entire Biyun Peak, aside from the elders, he was the only one who dared to disturb Song K's cultivation at this moment. Zhao Gongming felt somewhat nervous. He said softly, replying to Master, "Someone from the main hall sent news earlier. They said that the aura of the life medallion that junior brother left in the main hall is extremely weak." It seems, Song K's expression turned grave. He said sullenly, "Seems like what?" Zhao Gongming braced himself and said, "It seems like his life could be in danger at any moment." Bang! Song K suddenly stood up and the rock he was sitting on suddenly shattered, turning into countless fragments. When the wind blew, the fragments turned into powder and were carried away by the wind. A surging killing intent flashed past in a flash. Song K quickly hid his emotions and said, "When did this happen? Where did Qianhe go? Who did he go with? Tell me in detail." Before Zhao Gongming came, he had already made some inquiries. At this moment, he reported everything in detail. Yesterday, junior brother brought 6 Biyun Peak disciples. They were all medial grade martial grand masters and above to Evil Wind Valley. The news I heard was that Lu Ryue needed the ice crystal flower in Evil Wind Valley to use as an ingredient to save people. I am not sure where junior brother got this news from, but he brought people to Evil Wind Valley in advance. Since then, there has been no news of him. A cold light flashed in Song K's eyes. He said coldly, "Lu Ryue. You better pray that nothing happens to her. Otherwise, I will destroy Qingyun Peak completely. Come, let's go to Saber City." In Saber City's city lord's residence, Gu Yunbin carefully listened to Zhao Gongming's narration. After that, he said to Song K, "Brother Song, don't be anxious. I will arrange for people to search for your son." Song K cupped his hands and said, "I will have to trouble City Lord Gu." There were spies from Saber City within a radius of a few hundred kilometers. Going to Evil Wind Valley to find a person was not a difficult matter for Gu Yunbin. After 2 hours, there was a result. An outer disciple quickly walked in and said, reporting to City Lord, "We have found senior brother Song in Evil Wind Valley. Should we bring him back?" Song K said, "Don't bring him back. Bring me to the scene immediately. I want to see who is so daring." In Evil Wind Valley, Song K looked at Song Qianhe, who had been dragged down from the tree. Rage burned in his eyes. Song Qianhe's face was covered in shoe prints, he did not look like a human anymore. The few Biyun Peak disciples beside him quickly cleaned up the blood on Song Qianhe's body. Then, they fed him medicinal pills and bandaged him. Then, they used their essence to treat his injuries. After a while, Song Qianhe slowly woke up. When he saw the people in front of him, he did not understand the situation. He asked curiously, "Father, senior brother, why are you here? Where am I?" Damn, Why is it so painful? The moment Song Qianhe said that, he discovered that his lips were in extreme pain. Only then did he realize that he was severely injured. There were bandages all over his body. What's going on? Where are Xiao Jiu and the others? How did I become like this? Who did this? Song Qianhe did his best to remember. However, he could not remember how he became like this. Forget worry pill. Gu Yunbin and Song Ke exchanged glances. They both had an answer in their hearts. The two of them walked behind Song Qianhe and stretched out their right hands. Pure and surging essence entered Song Qianhe's body. Pooh! The essence moved quickly in Song Qianhe's body. Soon, it found the medicinal pill in his dantian. The two of them exerted force at the same time. Song Qianhe opened his mouth and spat out a green liquid onto the ground. Gu Yunbin withdrew his hand and said, if another day had passed, the medicinal energy of this forget worry pill would have completely permeated his body. At that time, even if a martial sage made a move, it would be useless. Since your young master is fine, I will take my leave first. In the Heavenly Saber Pavilion, only one person had the forget worry pill. The matter of Song Qianhe being attacked was incomparably complicated. It involved the internal strife of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. Gu Yunbin did not want to get involved in this matter, so he took his leave first. Song Ke did not stop him. He said, this song owes the city lord a favor. I will repay it in the future. After Gu Yunbin led the people of Saber City away, Song Qianhe completely remembered what happened yesterday. His eyes were filled with hatred. Yi Chen, I will make you suffer a fate worse than death. In Qingyun Peak, Xiaoqin had not slept since he was woken up last night. The pig-faced Lu Suifeng beside him said, Sis, it is not as serious as you think, right? Lu Ruyue smiled coldly, I think you have been bewitched by that woman. You have lost your intelligence. Just wait, the people from Biyun Peak will definitely come before sunset. Xiaoqin felt slightly worried in his heart. This matter was mostly his idea. He said, Elder Sister Ruyue, if these people really come, you can push all the responsibility to me. I am well aware of it. At worst, I will just leave the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. When Lu Ruyue heard this, she smiled gently. Her charming face revealed a gentle expression, don't you want to learn listening to the sword and communicating with it? When Xiaoqin heard this, he was stunned. During his time in the Heavenly Saber Pavilion, he had asked around in his spare time. His understanding of listening to the sword and communicating with it had deepened. He discovered that it was almost impossible to grasp listening to the sword and communicating with it. Lu Ruyue took the lunar shadow saber from Xiaoqian's hands and drew it out with a huang-dang sound. A cold glint flowed on the black blade, and traces of electricity slowly leaped about. She pointed the saber at the sky. When the sunlight shone on the saber, it gave off a faint glow. The streamlined saber was filled with a boundless beauty at this moment. Lu Ruyue looked at it seriously and muttered, you are doing this for this saber, right? If you just leave, don't you want to undo the seal in the saber? Xiaoqin thought of the arrogance sealed in the saber. He felt dispirited. If he could not learn listening to the sword and communicating with it, he might not be able to undo the seal in his life. You don't have to worry about the matter of Biyun Peak. I said it before, the fault lies with Suifeng, not you. You have done well. I only resent you for not discussing such a big matter with me. Elder Sister Ruyue, I. Xiaoqin felt that the words were stuck in his throat, but he could not say them. Lu Ruyue smiled brilliantly. Her pretty face was like a flower, she was like a fairy from the mountains, filled with a special charm. Don't say any more, I forgive you. Remember, don't do it again. Today, I will borrow your lunar shadow saber. Wang! Lu Ruyue swung the lunar shadow saber in the air. The saber buzzed continuously in the air. Suddenly, it released an intense electric light. It was as resplendent as the sun, dazzling and dazzling. At this moment, the rank 6 Thunder Rock demonic core merged with the saber broke through its previous restraints. The aura of a peak martial king spread out without restraint. An ear-piercing thunder roar came from the saber. It was like a thunder rock leaped out from the saber and roared angrily. A visible ripple spread out in the air. Xiao Chen and Lu Suifeng, who were behind Lu Riyue, felt a huge pressure. It was like their shoulders were bearing a weight of 10,000 tons, it was incomparably painful. Chapter 164. This is a superior grade heaven-ranked spirit weapon. Lu Suifeng exclaimed in astonishment. This was a true superior grade heaven-ranked spirit weapon. It was only a step away from becoming a subdivine weapon. The Tianwu continent had not seen a heaven-ranked spirit weapon for several hundred years. He did not expect to see a heaven-ranked spirit weapon here. Furthermore, it was a superior grade heaven-ranked spirit weapon. Xiao Chen's heart was filled with shock as well. He could not understand how Lu Riyue was able to recover the lunar shadow saber to heaven-ranked. Lu Riyue held the lunar shadow saber and stood there proudly. Her clothes and hair fluttered in the wind. She looked down the mountain and said indifferently, "Let's go, they are here." Lu Riyue sheathed her saber and the aura of the lunar shadow saber disappeared. She led Xiao Chen and Lu Suifeng down the mountain quickly. No one said anything, their expressions were extremely grave. When they reached the foot of the mountain, they saw a group of cultivators rushing towards Qingyun Peak aggressively. They did not hide their killing qi at all. They left a trail of dust behind them, startling countless birds. When they got closer, everyone could clearly see the appearance of the people. The person leading them was the last disciple of Biyun Peak's peak master, Song Ke, Zhao Gongming. Behind him were several Biyun Peak elders. They were all martial saints. Song Qianhe, whose head was wrapped like a mummy, was in the middle of the group. Xiao Chen counted carefully. Including Zhao Gongming, there were 7 martial saints and 10 martial grand masters. Among them, Zhao Gongming was the strongest. He was a medial grade martial saint. The other martial saints were only inferior grade martial saints. It was not strange for there to be so many inferior grade martial saints. After reaching martial saint, every step forward was extremely difficult. Many people would remain in the inferior grade martial saint realm for their entire lives. Hence, people like Lu Riyue, who reached peak martial saint at the age of 24, were terrifying. Even so, Xiao Chen was worried for Lu Riyue. There were so many martial saints. Although their cultivations were lower than Lu Riyue's, their numbers could make up for the difference. Song Ke hid himself in the clouds in the sky. He looked at Lu Riyue and the others with a sinister gaze. Song Qianhe's life was not in danger. Furthermore, there was no concrete evidence to prove that the dead Biyun Peak disciples were killed by Xiao Chen and Lu Suifeng. As a Peak Lord, it was not suitable for him to show himself at this moment. He could just let the younger generation cause a ruckus. It would be best if they could force the one at the top of the mountain out. Song Ke looked at the towering peak of Qingyun Peak and muttered, "Old eccentric Lu has been hiding on the peak for decades. Whether he is dead or alive, he should at least come out. Right now, the Heavenly Saber Pavilion is lacking in manpower. You do not wish to see a little girl become the pavilion master, right?" Song Ke's gaze pierced through the boundless space, as if he could see the peak of the mountain. Ever since the Heavenly Saber Pavilion's great tribulation 20 years ago, the old pavilion master had passed away. The Heavenly Saber Pavilion no longer had a pavilion master. The old pavilion master's daughter, Leng Liusu, became the young pavilion master. The elders' assembly managed the Heavenly Saber Pavilion together. As the saying went, a family could not go without a master, a nation could not go without a ruler. The danger of such a situation was self-evident to the development and prestige of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. However, before the old pavilion master died, he did not leave behind a clear will. Furthermore, there was more than one person in the Heavenly Saber Pavilion who was qualified to become the pavilion master. Due to all the compromises, it resulted in the current situation. The old pavilion master's daughter would inherit the position of Heavenly Saber Pavilion's pavilion master. The one who was most dissatisfied with this was Song Quebec. Although his strength was still far from those old monsters, he was still qualified to inherit the position of pavilion master. He was the youngest. That's right, he was the youngest among the peak martial kings in the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. He was only 50 years old. After he advanced to martial king, he would have no problem living to 200 years old. His resentment for the position of pavilion master was the strongest among all the peak lords. All along, he had been looking for an opportunity to swallow up Qingyun Peak. At that time, he would have the strength of two factions. He would have a greater say in the elders' assembly. Song Qianhe's pursuit of Lu Ruyue was mostly due to Song Quebec. Song Ke had turned a blind eye to Song Ke's underhanded methods and acquiesced to them. Actually, Song Ke had been waiting for this opportunity for a long time. If it were not for the apprehension in his heart, he would have used forceful methods long ago. Song Ke looked at the peak and entered deep thought. At the foot of the peak, Lu Ruyue took the initiative to speak first. Zhao Gongming, what are you trying to do by bringing a bunch of trash and old men here? Before Zhao Gongming could speak, Song Qianhe, whose face was covered in bandages, said angrily, Lu Ruyue, your disciple killed 8 of my Biyun Peak disciples. According to the sect rules, you have to hand him over. Otherwise, you will be considered an accomplice. Lu Ruyue frowned and a murderous intent shot out from her black eyes. She glared at Song Qianhe, scaring him into taking a few steps back. Lu Ruyue mocked, a piece of trash like you is not embarrassed to be a true inheritor of Biyun Peak. You are already like this. You can imagine how strong the ordinary disciples of Biyun Peak are. Who knows which Tom, Dick, or Harry killed them? When Zhao Gongming saw Lu Ruyue being so unyielding, he did not get angry. Instead, he rejoiced. He said, Senior Sister Lu, don't change the topic. 8 Biyun Peak disciples did die. Furthermore, junior brother Song saw them being killed by Yi Chen. As for whether he was the one who killed them or not, we will hand him over to the law enforcement hall. Lu Ruyue removed the golden identity token from her waist and said in a deep voice, look at the identity token in my hand clearly. I am the Peak Master of Qingyun Peak, not your senior sister. Whether Biyun Peak disciples died or not, even if the law enforcement hall's people come, they will not be able to take them away from me without any evidence. Zhao Gongming smiled coldly and said, Qingyun Peak is just a faction with only one disciple. Are you not embarrassed to use your status to suppress me? Lu Ruyue smiled. Her smile was very beautiful, causing the surrounding people to look at her. Their minds became dazed for a moment. Even if there is only one person in Qingyun Peak, it is not something trash like you can laugh at. Right after she spoke, Lu Ruyue had already rushed forward. She left behind afterimages in the air and arrived before Zhao Gongming. Zhao Gongming did not panic. Instead, he was secretly delighted. Even if there was no evidence, as long as Lu Ruyue made the first move to injure someone, their actions this time would not leave any room for others to talk about. However, he soon stopped smiling. A resplendent light lit up and the lunar shadow saber was drawn with a huang-dang sound. The aura of a rank 6 demonic beast, which was equivalent to a peak martial king, surged towards him. Even with Zhao Gongming's strength as a medial grade martial saint, his breathing actually became hurried before this overwhelming aura. His originally smooth movements became sluggish for a moment. Zhao Gongming gave up on drawing his saber. He controlled his body and quickly retreated. However, this saber was simply too fast. Furthermore, it borrowed the might of the heavenly weapon. The saber light still left a long wound in front of Zhao Gongming. The wound was not deep, but as blood spurted out, it quickly dyed the clothes in front of his chest red. The battle could start at any moment. After the remaining 7 martial saints recovered from their momentary daze, they quickly attacked Lu Ruyue. This was a battle between martial saints. These martial grand masters could not interfere. Saber chi flew everywhere and figures flashed about. Xiao Chen and the others could only see some blurry figures. The range of the battle grew larger and larger. Occasionally, there would be cries coming from the battlefield. An inferior-grade martial saint of Biyun Peak cried out miserably as his arm flew off. Everyone was fighting with all their might. Lu Riyue did not show any mercy. She fought with her life on the line. Whenever her opponent left a wound on her body, she would immediately counterattack tenfold, not retreating at all. Using the might of the heavenly weapon, Lu Riyue was not at a disadvantage in terms of aura. Instead, the 8 martial saints of Biyun Peak became more and more fearful as they fought. Occasionally, someone would lose an arm or a large piece of flesh. A few strands of saber chi flew towards Xiao Chen and Lu Suifeng. Xiao Chen used his palm as a saber and executed drawing the saber. With a bang, the strands of saber chi were reduced to nothing. Lu Suifeng said anxiously, "Yi Chen, what should we do? If this goes on, even if Sis can obtain victory, she will be severely injured. The other side still has 10 martial grand masters who have not made a move. We are not a match for them. Don't rush me, I'm thinking of a way." Naturally, Xiao Chen was able to think of the problem that Lu Suifeng could think of. He looked at Song Qianhe, who was in the crowd, and thought very quickly. Song Qianhe looked coldly at Lu Riyue. He did not care much about the casualties in the battle. Aside from Zhao Gongming, the rest of these martial saints had been stuck at inferior-grade martial saint for many years. This time, Xiao Chen had brought them here to send them to their deaths. The true elites of Biyun Peak had not come. Even if they all died, he would not feel any heartache. Biyun Peak could afford to waste their resources, unlike Qingyun Peak, which only had Lu Riyue. As long as she fell, the others could be dealt with easily. Heaven-ranked spirit weapon. It looks like this operation is going to fail. Should I make a move? Song Ke looked at the battle below from the clouds. He frowned slightly, he could not make up his mind. In the battle, Lu Riyue took advantage of an inferior-grade martial saint's opening and pierced the air with her lunar shadow saber. She stabbed the saber into this person's heart. Her right hand trembled, and a surging essence flowed along her arm and into the saber. Boom! With a loud bang, that person's body exploded into countless pieces, shattering into pieces. Blood sprayed out in the air like rain, slowly falling down. Lu Riyue's decisiveness and cold-bloodedness caused the surrounding cultivators to tremble involuntarily. Although they were not afraid of death, when they saw such a cruel way of dying, they could not help but feel a deep fear in their hearts. This is too ruthless. She did not care at all, killing as she pleased. Is she really not afraid of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion's rules? Everyone could not help but think this in their hearts. Taking advantage of the moment when everyone was distracted, Lu Riyue did not stop moving. She swept her saber horizontally and chopped an inferior-grade martial saint beside her in half. Lu Riyue, you! Don't go overboard! Zhao Gongming shouted hoarsely. In an instant, 2 inferior-grade martial saints died miserably at Lu Riyue's hands. Lu Riyue's reply was an even more ferocious attack. She held her saber with both hands, and her entire body was covered in blood. She was like a crazed demon, like an evil spirit that came out of hell. She did not care about the wounds on her body. Ka-xie. Ka-xie. Chapter 165. Xiao Chen's eyes were bloodshot as he clenched his right fist tightly. His fingertips pierced deep into his flesh, causing blood to flow out. He could not remember the last time he was so angry. I hate it. To think that I had to let a girl risk her life to protect me. Xiao Chen felt his heart bleeding. Biyun Peak Song Qianhe, even if I have to face the boundless pursuit of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion, Xiao Chen, swear to tear you into pieces. I will return today's humiliation tenfold in the future. 2 people fell in an instant. The situation immediately tilted in Lu Ryue's favor. The number of wounds on her body increased continuously, but she did not fall. Her face was already covered in blood. It was a horrifying sight. The remaining martial saints revealed fear in their hearts. They started to move very carefully, hoping to protect themselves. However, this caused them to die even faster. Lu Ryue did not care about the wounds on her body. She used her saber in exchange for a life. Pu Ci. One of them left a long wound on Lu Ryue's body. Blood spurted out. Another martial saint chased after her. Lu Ryue did not care about her pursuers or the incoming attack. She stabbed her saber into the body of an inferior grade martial saint. Her essence erupted and immediately shattered all the bones in his body. Ca. The attack of the person behind her left another wound on Lu Ryue's back. However, Lu Ryue did not seem to feel it. She grabbed the weapon of that person with her left hand and turned around, creating a strong wind. Under this person's horrified gaze, his head was directly chopped off. Soon, only Zhao Gongming was left standing in the field. The remaining 7 martial saints all fell to the ground. They died without a complete corpse. There was not a single complete corpse. Blood flowed all over the ground. The pungent smell of blood was nauseating. When Zhao Gongming saw the hellish scene in front of him, his right hand, which was holding his saber, could not help but tremble. He thought to himself, this Lu Ryue is too ruthless. She is ruthless to herself and even more ruthless to her enemies. Do I have to risk my life against her? I am not like these old men. I still have a bright future ahead of me. I am already a medial grade martial saint at the age of 30. My future is bright, and I have great potential. Such a thought appeared in Zhao Gongming's mind. After a while, this thought spread like wildfire, getting out of hand. If she, Lu Ryue, wants to risk her life, why should I, Zhao Gongming, do the same? How foolish. Lu Ryue smiled coldly to herself. With one glance, she could tell that Zhao Gongming was afraid. She casually wiped the blood off her face. Xiaochen grasped the saber hilt again. The blood in his hand flowed down the saber blade and dripped onto the ground. The black blade of the lunar shadow saber was dyed scarlet, making it look like a blood saber. It looked very strange. Kill! Lu Ryue shouted and an overwhelming killing chi pressed down on Zhao Gongming. Xiao Chen's figure turned into a blurry white figure in the air. The electric light on the lunar shadow saber crackled. It was boundlessly resplendent and dazzling. When Zhao Gongming saw Lu Ryue flying over, he clenched his teeth and sent out a saber light with his saber. Their figures changed rapidly in the air. At first, everyone could still see their figures, but in the end, their speed became faster and faster. He could only see 2 white shadows swaying non-stop, and there was also the light of lightning blooming in the air. Metallic clangs rang out continuously as saber chi flew in all directions. The rocks that came into contact with the saber chi immediately shattered into countless pieces. The surroundings of the two turned into rubble in the blink of an eye. Bang! Suddenly, a figure descended from the sky. Xiao Chen's heart tightened. He quickly looked and discovered that it was Zhao Gongming. Only then did he heave a sigh of relief. Boom! Lu Ryue descended from the air and kicked Zhao Gongming's chest heavily. Zhao Gongming's injuries worsened. He tasted something sweet in his throat and vomited a large mouthful of blood. Zhao Gongming landed heavily on the ground with a bang. He looked at Lu Ryue, who was getting closer to him. His eyes were filled with horror. Trash like you dares to laugh at my Qingyun Peak for not having anyone? Lu Ryue walked over to Zhao Gongming but did not make a move. A faint aura locked onto her in the sky. As long as she made a move, she would suffer a destructive blow. Lu Ryue looked at the clouds above her head and the corner of her lips curled up in a mocking smile. The setting sun was like blood. When it shone on her, she looked very miserable. After hiding for so long, are you not embarrassed? Old fogey. Lu Ryue shouted and quickly drew the small saber at her waist. The saber spun quickly in her hand, creating an intense wind. A strong wind blew and kicked up a large amount of dust. Xiao Qin could not help but close his eyes. Kill! The spinning saber left Xiao Chen's hand and formed a berserk hurricane in the air. There was a sharp cold light in the hurricane. It whistled as it headed for the white clouds in the sky. Its aura was like a rainbow as it surged forward. The hurricane sped through the air and grew with the wind. In the blink of an eye, it turned into a hurricane that was dozens of meters wide. It was very horrifying. Boom! There was a loud sound in the sky. The hurricane crashed into the white clouds in the sky. A clump of white fog appeared on the horizon, attracting everyone's attention. They did not understand why Lu Ryue attacked the white clouds in the sky for no reason. When the clouds scattered and everyone saw the scene in the sky, they were all astonished. Song Ke stood quietly in the sky. He held Lu Ryue's small saber in his right hand. There was no change in his expression, he was incomparably calm. He was like an old man in meditation. As he stood in the sky, his aura was withdrawn. He was as calm as flowing water. However, there was a natural might coming from his body. It made everyone feel insignificant. Little girl, are you bullying my Biyun sect because there is no one around? Song Ke snorted coldly. His voice was not loud, but it reverberated in the ears of Lu Ryue and the others. It caused the qi and blood in their bodies to surge. It was clear that this voice contained a high-level secret technique. Bo! Right after Song Ke spoke, he flicked his finger. The small saber in his hand turned into a blur in the air. It gave off a bright light and broke through the air, creating a long shockwave as it headed for Lu Ryue. The small saber arrived in an instant. One breath ago, it was far away. In the blink of an eye, it arrived before Lu Ryue. The force of the saber created a strong wind. The bloody dust on the ground was picked up by the strong wind and scattered in all directions. In an instant, the dust filled the entire space. This was the strength of a peak martial king. With a gentle flick of his finger, there was such a shocking aura. Everywhere the light passed, it could topple mountains and split rocks. Dang! A clear clanging sound came from the flying dust, and after the dust settled, the sound was heard. After the dust settled, everyone saw Lu Ryue holding her saber horizontally in front of her, blocking the small saber descending from the sky. Blood leaked from the corner of her mouth. It was clear that she suffered internal injuries. The small saber spun continuously on the back of the lunar shadow saber. Lu Ryue held the saber hilt tightly with her right hand and placed her left hand on the saber. Even so, Lu Ryue continued to move backward. Her footsteps rubbed against the ground, giving off a rustling sound. The situation was dire. If Lu Ryue could not hold on, the small saber would pierce through her chest. The small saber would pierce through Lu Ryue's chest. After that, she would definitely die. Xiao Qin felt very anxious. However, at this moment, he could only worry, there was nothing he could do. Lu Ryue was currently in a weak equilibrium. Although it was dangerous, her life was not in danger. If he helped, this equilibrium would be broken. Without the strength of a martial king, he would not be able to maintain this equilibrium. If he helped, he would only cause Lu Ryue to die even faster. Who? Just at this moment, a white dragon suddenly came out of Lu Ryue's body. The white dragon circled around Lu Ryue and roared at Song Ke in the sky. The dragon roared in all directions, it was vast and boundless. A huge might surged towards Song Quebec. Song Ke frowned slightly. His body paused in the air and moved slightly. The aura of the small saber immediately weakened. Lu Ryue took advantage of this opportunity and shouted. She swung her saber and flung away the small saber. Then, she stretched out her hand and caught the small saber that was about to fall. No wonder this small saber was so strong. It turned out that Song Ke left a strand of his chi in it. Only by breaking this strand of chi could she break this move. A peak martial king, a peak master, actually made such a ruthless move against a junior. This is too shameless, Xiaochen cursed hatefully in his heart. The white dragon that suddenly appeared should be Lu Ruyue's martial spirit. Unless it was absolutely necessary, no one would do such a thing. When Xiaochen saw the white dragon return to Lu Ruyue's body, he felt it was familiar. However, he could not remember where he had seen it before. When Song Ke saw that his move was broken, a trace of anger flashed on his face. Although he did not use his full strength in this move, it was still very strong. However, it was actually broken by a junior. Song Ke felt that he had lost face. He snorted coldly and his body descended from the sky with a boundless aura. He landed heavily on the ground, creating an intense shockwave that surged towards Lu Ruyue. At this moment, Lu Ruyue was already like an arrow at the end of its flight. How could she block the attack of a peak martial king? Her body was immediately knocked back by the shockwave. When Xiaochen saw the situation, he quickly rushed forward and caught Lu Ruyue. He took out a blood-replenishing pill and fed it to Lu Ruyue without giving her any room to refuse. You are of my grandfather's generation, yet you dare to make a move against a junior. Don't you feel ashamed? Xiaochen helped Lu Ruyue up and glared at Song Quebec. Before Song Ke could say anything, Song Qianhe, who was hiding in the crowd behind him, said, "What kind of status does my father have? Is it up to someone like you, who is not even worth dog shit, to speak to him like that?" Xiaochen looked at Song Qianhe and smiled coldly. After failing to propose, you resorted to despicable methods. You want to use a life-saving medicine to threaten others. For someone to have a son like you, it is easy to imagine what kind of person your father is. If the upper beam is not straight, the lower beam will be crooked. Anyone can teach this kind of person a lesson. Song Ke's face turned red. He had tacitly agreed to all the things that Song Qianhe had done. Although he knew he was in the wrong, it was not up to a junior to speak to him like that. A surging killing chi, the aura of a peak martial king, surged towards Xiaochen without any fear. Song Ke's ice-cold face revealed a murderous intent. Ignorant junior, do you dare to say another word? The azure dragon martial spirit circled around Xiaochen's body continuously. The pressure on Xiaochen's body immediately decreased. He looked straight at Song Ke without any fear as he said loudly, "You have no respect for your old age. You have no sense of shame. You have no sense of propriety, righteousness, or honor." Chapter 166. Xiaochen was prepared to die when he said these words. A bona fide peak martial king would not even need to use a tenth of his strength to easily kill Xiaochen. However, ambition was important. Wasn't a man living in this world for the sake of pride? Xiaochen did not care about his status and used his strength to attack his master. Furthermore, Lu Yueru was already severely injured, yet he still dared to make a move. At this moment, if Xiaochen did not say anything, he would not have any backbone. What kind of man would he be? He might as well die. Song Ke's face was covered in frost. Ever since he became the peak master, he could not remember how many years it had been since someone dared to scold him like this. Furthermore, it was an insignificant inferior grade martial grand master. What a sharp tongue. Are you not afraid of biting your tongue? Go to hell. The moment he spoke, Song Ke's body started to turn blurry. He floated towards Xiaochen like flowing water. Everywhere he passed, it was like he was flowing through a river. The blood on the ground was actually swept clean. 3 flowing cloud images. Xiaochen thought to himself, when Song Ke executed this 3 flowing cloud images, it was like moving clouds and flowing water. There was no hesitation at all. Everything was natural and natural. It was like a gushing river, not giving off any sense of danger. If this was 1 day ago, Xiao Chen would definitely not be able to block Song Kei's 3 flowing cloud images at its peak. However, when Xiao Chen was in the dense forest the previous day, he suddenly gained enlightenment and entered the state of perfection like water. His understanding of the 3 flowing cloud images reached a level that no one before could understand. Xiao Chen gently tossed Lu Riyue into Lu Suifeng's hands. His mind was calm as he did his best to recall the state he was in yesterday. At this moment, Song Kei did not seem to have any killing moves. However, Xiao Chen knew that if he did not enter the state he was in yesterday, he would immediately be killed by Song Quebec. At this critical moment of life and death, Xiao Chen instantly entered the state he was in yesterday. His entire being turned into a calm sea, without any waves. From an outsider's perspective, both of their figures had become extremely blurry. One of them was like a gushing river, while the other was like a calm ocean without any ripples. Boom! The river and the ocean collided. A surging shockwave spread out in all directions, like countless splashes of water. Bang! 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 Water splashed in the air and emitted violent explosions. It was like a tempestuous storm, deafening, continuous, and majestic. Song Kei took 3 steps back. His heart was filled with shock. Perfection like water was a state that could only be grasped in legends. How could he possibly know it? The huge force flowed into Xiao Chen's body. In an instant, Xiao Chen felt like he was going to explode. He felt Song's energy. In his sea of consciousness, the calm surface of the ocean that he had transformed into immediately stirred up waves after waves of energy spread outwards. After Xiao Chen transformed into a sea, Chen's sea, the calm sea, there, Xiao, who was in a Chen's body. Xiao, the of the Xiao Chen. Chen. Of Chen, of Chen's of a Chen. Of a, Xiao. A Chen of Xiao of Chen of Chen. The group of people behind him could not understand either. A strange look flashed in Lu Riyue's eyes. There were many kinds of states. Listening to the sword and communicating with it was one of them. She, who had grasped the state of listening to the sword and communicating with it, could somewhat understand what was going on. If a person comprehended a certain state to its peak, they would have a huge advantage when fighting with someone else using the same martial technique. Lu Riyue had experienced this herself. Song Kei said coldly, "Perfection like water. I want to see how strong it is." Song Kei could not accept the pride of a peak martial king. He had practiced the 3 flowing cloud images for his entire life, yet he could not even compare to a junior. After Song Kei spoke, he turned into a gushing river, surging towards Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen frowned, he did not dare to be careless. He guarded his heart platform and materialized a boundless ocean. Perfection like water, water benefits all things but does not compete. Xiao Chen understood something in his heart. This 3 flowing cloud images was, in essence, a defensive and counterattacking martial technique. Forcefully materializing it into an offensive martial technique would only be putting the cart before the horse, neglecting the essentials. However, Song Kei did not care about this. He relied on his cultivation realm and continuously charged at Xiao Chen. There were loud sounds of raging waves. The surrounding air started to tremble. After the trembling, there was an unending chain of explosions. The surrounding crowd did not dare to get too close, they all retreated. Song Kei's raging waves kicked up huge waves one after another on the calm surface of the sea. The sound of the waves surged, it was incomparably terrifying. On the vast ocean, Xiao Chen was like a small boat drifting with the wind. He rose and fell with the waves, it looked like he would be swallowed up at any moment. However, after a while, this small boat did not get swallowed up. It continued to drift along with the waves, tossing and turning. Pooh! Song Kei retreated once again. He had already charged at Xiao Chen more than 100 times. Every time he used a huge force, it seemed like he was just a little short of exploding Xiao Chen. However, he did not succeed every time. This time, he completely lost his patience. His eyes revealed an extremely impatient expression. He waved his right hand and a thick saber flickering with a cold light appeared in his hand. Killing chi spread out. Song Ke had never wanted to kill a person as much as he did now. Furthermore, it was an inferior grade martial grand master that he would not even bother to look at normally. Mountain-splitting chop. Break for me. Song Ke shouted loudly. The light on his saber was withdrawn, there was nothing fancy about it. However, it carried an aura that could split mountains. He hacked at Xiao Chen and instantly broke through the formless ocean that Xiao Chen had turned into. Not good, Yi Chen is in danger. Seeing Song Ke give up on using the 3 flowing cloud images, Lu Ryue cried out in alarm. She wanted to go forward and help, but when she circulated the essence in her body, she could not help but vomit a mouthful of blood. She staggered and was about to fall backwards. Lu Suifeng quickly supported her. Lu Ryue's blood-covered face revealed an expression of extreme dissatisfaction. Her eyes were bloodshot as she looked at Song Ke angrily. Finally, it seemed like she had made up her mind about something. She grasped the lunar shadow saber tightly with her right hand. Xiao Chen opened his eyes ferociously and shot out a bright light. He looked at Song Ke, who was moving at lightning speed, and that saber strike that could split mountains. Xiao Chen understood in his heart that he would not be able to block this saber strike. It was like a mantis trying to stop a chariot. It would be like an ant trying to shake a tree. He would be chopped in half and die without a complete corpse. However, Xiao Chen did not intend to block it himself. He flicked his finger and the Eastern Emperor bell appeared from nowhere. It hovered above Xiao Chen's head. After a while, it turned into a huge bronze bell. For some unknown reason, he could no longer use the mysterious yellow qi in the Eastern Emperor bell. Xiao Chen decisively used the bronze bell to cover himself. With a thought, the Eastern Emperor bell immediately fell to the ground with a loud boom, covering Xiao Chen completely. Song Ke smiled coldly in his heart. His hands did not stop moving at all. You want to block a full-body strike with just a damaged secret treasure? Too naive. Boom. The full-powered strike of a peak martial king struck the Eastern Emperor bell violently. The Eastern Emperor bell gave off a melodious chime, the sound waves reverberated in the air. After that, before everyone's astonished gazes, the Biyun Peak's peak master, a peak martial king, was knocked back like a cannonball. Song Ke felt his qi and blood surging, and he felt a sweetness in his throat, as if he was about to vomit blood. Song Ke quickly circulated his essence in the air, suppressing the blood. If he was forced to vomit blood by an inferior grade martial grand master in front of a group of juniors, Song Ke might even have the thought of dying. However, Song Ke did not expect that his body was currently in the air. As he flew back rapidly, if he could not control his center of gravity, he might end up rolling on the ground. By the time he suppressed the qi and blood in his body and recovered his wits, it was already too late to change his center of gravity. There was a loud bang as he landed head first and rolled on the ground. After rolling 2 rounds, Song Ke stood up again. Song Ke's face was ashen, he was suffering in his heart. He was sent rolling on the ground by an inferior grade martial master. This was even more embarrassing than vomiting blood. His desire to kill Xiao Chen was much stronger than before. There had never been such a person that gave Song Ke such a headache. In his life, he had killed countless martial saints and martial kings. He had fought in many tough battles. However, he had never been in such a sorry state before. He had already forgotten his purpose in coming here. He only wanted to tear Xiao Chen into pieces, to resolve the hatred in his heart. Seeing Xiao Chen hiding in the Eastern Emperor bell, Song Ke did his best to calm himself down and think carefully. Although the rebound of this secret treasure is strong, it is still within the limits of my control. Furthermore, this secret treasure is definitely a damaged secret treasure. As long as I focus my energy on one point and attack continuously, I will definitely be able to break this secret treasure. I can definitely break this secret treasure. After Song Ke made up his mind, he immediately leaped up and hacked at the Eastern Emperor bell. A huge rebound came. This time, Song Ke was prepared. He quickly spun in the air and after a while, the rebound dissipated into nothingness. Song Ke's figure flashed and he flew back to the Eastern Emperor bell. He hacked at the same spot as before. He did this repeatedly. In the blink of an eye, Song Ke hacked at least 100 times. The sound of the bell reverberated unceasingly, spreading throughout the entire Heavenly Saber Pavilion like a sponge. When the many inner disciples of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion heard this sound, they all felt it was strange. They all curiously rushed over to the source of the sound. Shao Chen, who was hiding in the Eastern Emperor bell, also felt extremely uncomfortable. That drawn-out bell chime nearly ruptured his eardrums. His internal organs were churning non-stop. He wanted to vomit, but he could not vomit anything. After hacking at the Eastern Emperor bell for a few hundred times, a small crack finally appeared on it. Song Ke's face lit up with joy and he suddenly leaped up. In the blink of an eye, he was more than 1,000 meters above the ground. He wanted to deal the final blow, to completely destroy this damn bell and pull Shao Chen out and hack him into pieces. The bell suddenly stopped ringing. Shao Chen felt it was strange. He used his spiritual sense to observe carefully and he instantly saw the crack on the bell. He could not help but feel some lingering fear. If this Eastern Emperor bell was really broken, with his true strength, he would not even be able to block a single move from Song Quebec. Never mind, since I am going to die anyway, why don't I give it my all? A resolute look flashed in Shao Chen's eyes as he watched Song Ke descend from the sky. Chapter 167. Suddenly, the Eastern Emperor bell soared into the air. Shao Chen stretched out his right hand and grabbed the bottom of the Eastern Emperor bell. He shouted and swept it at Song Ke, who was charging at him. Song Ke was horrified. He had been attacking the Eastern Emperor bell all this time. However, when he saw that Shao Chen did not react, he was already out of habit. Song Ke was thinking that he only needed one more attack to get Shao Chen out. Shao Chen had not expected Shao Chen to charge at him with the bell in hand. Shao Chen's rapidly descending body trembled. Before Shao Chen could react, Shao Chen sent him flying with a bang. The huge recoil caused Song Ke to fly back like he was swatting a fly. He vomited a mouthful of blood in the air and landed on the ground. Many of the inner disciples who had rushed over after hearing the bell had just stabilized themselves when they saw this inconceivable scene. An inferior grade martial Grand Master had sent a peak martial king flying back while vomiting blood. No one could figure out what was going on. This mouthful of blood was actually the qi and blood that Song Ke had been suppressing. From the first strike, Song Ke had not dissipated the recoil from the Eastern Emperor bell. He had only used his cultivation realm to suppress it. He had struck the Eastern Emperor bell for close to 1,000 times. The suppressed energy in his body had already reached a horrifying level. If he continued suppressing it for a long time, it would cause hidden injuries to his body. Hence, when Song Ke vomited this mouthful of blood, his body actually felt very refreshed. However, even though his body felt refreshed, his heart felt even more upset. Song Ke looked at the crowd that was still rushing over. He felt like his heart was being cut by a knife. He thought to himself that he had completely lost all his face today. A peak master was actually forced into such a sorry state by a junior. This joke was getting out of hand. As the saying goes, break a crutch and break a fall. Song Ke's emotions had completely calmed down. Since it had already come to this, as long as he could kill this person, there was no need to care about morality. When Song Ke saw Shao Chen charging over with the bell, he knew the strangeness of the Eastern Emperor bell. He had already lost all his face, so he did not mind losing some more face. He did not choose to clash head-on. Relying on his advantage in speed, he quickly dodged Xiao Chen's attack. Then, everyone saw an incredible scene. An inferior grade martial Grand Master used a damaged secret treasure to crush a peak martial king, forcing him to flee. It was a very impressive sight. Seeing the crowd pointing at him, Song Ke remained expressionless. He looked coldly at Xiao Chen and easily dodged Xiao Chen's attack. Xiao Chen also knew what Song Ke was thinking. He was waiting for Xiao Chen to exhaust his essence qi before dealing a fatal blow. In any case, he had already thrown caution to the wind. Xiao Chen also knew what the outcome would be. He held the Eastern Emperor bell and smiled as he chased. Song Ke, your father really knows how to name you. He knows that you lack morals, heart, and calcium, so he gave you some. Why are you running? You are a bona fide peak master. You do not even dare to have a proper battle with me, an insignificant inferior grade martial Grand Master. Weren't you quite awe-inspiring just now? Why are you acting like a tortoise now? How long are you going to hide? I'll bear with it. Let's see how long you can shout for. Song Ke felt sullen in his heart. However, he did not fall for Xiao Chen's trick. If he attacked now, Xiao Chen would place the Eastern Emperor bell on his head. He could only think of another way to break the Eastern Emperor bell. At that time, the gains would not make up for the losses. Instead, it would be a waste of time. Xiao Chen might as well let him be pleased for now. When his essence ran out, Xiao Chen would torture him and make him kneel and beg for mercy, living a life worse than death. Who is this brat? How can he be so arrogant? To think he dares to speak to Song Ke like that. This brat seems to be Lu Rui's new disciple. He is called Yu Qin. He is only an inferior grade martial Grand Master. Lu Rui is already arrogant enough. I did not expect this brat to be even more arrogant than her. Indeed, the disciple is like the master. These Heavenly Saber Pavilion inner disciples had good judgment. Naturally, they would not be foolish enough to think that Xiao Chen could defeat a martial king and force Song Ke to flee. There had to be a reason for this that they did not know. Furthermore, Song Ke dodged very easily, he did not panic at all. Even so, everyone was filled with admiration for Xiao Chen's courage. If this brat survives today, his name will definitely shake the entire Heavenly Saber Pavilion. It seems like the Heavenly Saber Pavilion has not had such a bustling event in a long time. Indeed, a disciple who just entered the sect a few months ago actually dares to challenge a peak master. In the history of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion, this is unprecedented and will not happen again. Although the Eastern Emperor bell was damaged, it was still one of the peak secret treasures of the human race. As Xiao Chen controlled the Eastern Emperor bell, his essence was depleting very quickly. The river in his dantian was slowly drying up. Xiao Chen thought to himself, I can't continue playing around. I have to run. Although it would be difficult to escape with the strength of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion, Xiao Chen still had to give it a try. He could not just sit there and wait for death. Just as Xiao Chen was preparing to use the Eastern Emperor bell to open a path and leave this place, the Eastern Emperor bell in his hands suddenly trembled. It turned into a small, exquisite bell and landed in Xiao Chen's hand. Xiao Chen hated that he could not trample on this Eastern Emperor bell until it smashed to smithereens. This was not the first time the Eastern Emperor bell had failed. Every time it happened, it was at a crucial moment. Every time it happened, it was a life-threatening moment. When Song Ke saw the Eastern Emperor bell suddenly disappear, he was stunned. He thought that Xiao Chen was playing a trick on him. When he saw Xiao Chen quickly flee, he came to his senses. He had finally endured to the end. Song Ke could not help but laugh loudly, little bastard, let's see where you can run to. Xiao Chen executed the blue dragon cloud soaring art to its limits. His figure was like a rushing flood dragon, flying on flat ground. Unfortunately, the difference in cultivation realm was too great. Even with a heaven-ranked cultivation technique, his speed could not compare to a peak martial king. A white light flashed and Song Qianhe appeared behind Xiao Chen. He sent out a kick. This kick tore through the air and gave off an intense sonic boom. It landed heavily on Xiao Chen's back. Xiao Chen vomited a mouthful of blood and fell to the ground. His body slid forward continuously. Song Ke had actually controlled his strength in this kick. He did not want Xiao Chen to die so quickly. Otherwise, the force of this kick would have shattered all of Xiao Chen's internal organs. Why don't you run? Run for me. The rage that Song Ke had endured for a long time was finally revealed at this moment. He revealed a gloomy expression as he walked unhurriedly towards Xiao Chen. In his eyes, Xiao Chen, who had lost the Eastern Emperor Bell, was like an ant. He could play with him however he wanted, but he could not go overboard. If he was not careful, the ant would be squashed to death. When Song Ke thought of this, he could not help but laugh loudly. It was like he was possessed, he was in a state of madness. However, just at this moment, Lu Riyue, who was holding the lunar shadow saber in the distance, finally completed a certain ritual. Her already extremely weak body became even more unbearable. After the ritual was completed, the lunar shadow saber in her hand glowed brightly like a miniature sun. It quickly flew towards Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen, who was on the ground, stretched out his hand naturally and grabbed the saber's hilt. The light on the saber instantly disappeared and it became ordinary again. When Song Ke, who was originally startled, saw this, he calmed down. Trashy master, long time no see. You are still as trashy as ever. Suddenly, a familiar voice rang out in Xiao Chen's heart. Xiao Chen became excited and forgot about the pain in his body. He exclaimed, Ao Jiao, is that you? Is that you? Is that you? Is that you? Xiao Chen asked, no, 3 times in a row. It was clear how excited he was in his heart. That familiar voice rang out again, it has only been such a short time and you can't even recognize my voice. You really make me sad. Furthermore, the one who woke me up was actually a young lady. I thought I would see you the moment I woke up, the familiar voice rang out again. Without a doubt, Xiao Chen was pleasantly surprised. However, when he heard Ao Jiao's words, he could not help but feel confused. Why did you seal yourself back then? Do you know that I? Before Xiao Chen could finish speaking, Ao Jiao interrupted him. Don't you want a subdivine weapon? I won't explain it to you. I don't have much time left. Let's deal with this old man first. I'll borrow your body for a while. Don't resist. The moment Ao Jiao spoke, Xiao Chen felt a strong mental energy enter his mind. Knowing that this was Ao Jiao, Xiao Chen did not resist and handed over control of his body. Slowly, Xiao Chen felt a strange state. His thoughts were very clear, and he could see the outside clearly. However, he could not make any movements. When Song Ke saw that Xiao Chen was slowly getting up, he laughed coldly in his heart. Then, he sent a kick at Xiao Chen. Another intense sonic boom resounded in the air. Xiao Chen revealed a gentle smile on his face. No, it should be Ao Jiao's smile now. It was somewhat strange for a man to have such a smile. Ao Jiao stretched her body and used her left hand to block Song Ke's kick, which was faster than the speed of sound. Then, she casually pulled back and lifted Song Ke's body into the air. What's going on? Song Ke was incomparably terrified. Xiao Chen actually blocked his attack. Not only did he block it, but he also lifted him up. This was too unreasonable. Song Ke calmed down and took a deep breath. His upper body was in the air and he did a difficult sit-up. Then, he swung the saber in his hand at Xiao Chen's head. Ao Jiao's palm struck Song Ke's wrist. Song Ke felt his arm go numb, and the saber fell to the ground. Pa! Ao Jiao's right hand slapped Song Ke, who was in midair. The strength of this slap was so great that Song Kei's body was immediately slapped back, and there were 5 clear handprints on the right side of his face. This slap was incredibly resounding. Not only did it knock out all the surrounding Heavenly Saber Pavilion inner disciples, but it also knocked them unconscious. Song Kei was completely fooled by the slap. What's going on? Didn't I endure for so long because I was waiting for this brat to exhaust his primordial chi so that I could torture him to death? Why is it that I just had a kick and the situation changed again? He is just an inferior grade martial grand master, yet he lifted me up and even slapped me. I am a peak martial king, this is impossible. Chapter 168. Song Kei roared angrily and stood up again. He used his palm as a saber and chopped at Xiao Chen's neck, creating a strong wind. Pa! Ao Jiao sent out another backhand slap, landing on Song Kei's left cheek. This slap not only caused his cheek to swell up, but it also caused his essence to disappear without a trace. Little bastard! Let go of this old man. Otherwise, I will make you suffer a fate worse than death. Song Kei roared in pain. He exerted all his strength with his right leg, trying to struggle free from Ao Jiao's right hand. However, Ao Jiao's thumb was pinching a very strange place on his ankle. It prevented his surging essence from reaching the meridians on his thigh. Ao Jiao snorted coldly, "You still dare to be stubborn? You are courting death." Pa! 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 Xiao Chen's right hand slapped Song Kei's face repeatedly. Song Kei's head swayed left and right like a rattle drum. His face was swollen like a balloon, he looked very pitiful. Instantly, everyone at the foot of the mountain was dumbfounded. They stared at the scene in disbelief. Only the sound of the slaps reverberated continuously at the foot of the mountain. Pu Chi! Song Kei finally could not endure it any longer. He vomited a mouthful of blood. Ao Jiao revealed an expression of disgust. She flipped her hand and pushed, lifting Song Kei's body up, avoiding the blood. Bang! There was a loud sound. Ao Jiao carried Song Kei like he was a piece of wood and slammed him to the ground. Bang! 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 Ao Jiao was having fun. She carried Song Kei and slammed him to the left, then to the right. Her speed became faster and faster. In the blink of an eye, she had slammed him countless times. This was a dignified martial king. Why were they being toyed with like toys? Everyone felt that this was absurd, that it was unreal. However, there were a few people who were more observant. They discovered that it was not that Song Kei was too weak. Instead, it was that Xiao Chen had become too strong. He was like a different person from before, his strength was unfathomable. Is it because of that saber? Someone finally thought of the crux of the problem and asked uncertainly. It is very possible. There might be a powerful character sealed in that saber. She used listening to the sword and communicating with it. The clear-headed Xiao Chen saw all this and was incomparably astonished. Although Xiao Chen knew that Ao Jiao was strong, he had not expected the Thunder Emperor's item spirit to be this strong. Ao Jiao treated a peak martial king as child's play. She was already this strong. How strong was the Thunder Emperor back then? What kind of shocking battle did he encounter for him to be forced into a dead end? Boom! Just as Xiao Chen was thinking, Song Kei's body suddenly released an intense light. Suddenly, it turned into a saber giving off a bright light and left Ao Jiao's hand with a zheng sound. This is a technique that only a martial king can grasp. It combines with the martial spirit. He actually dared to reveal his martial spirit. Xiao Chen looked at the radiant saber and felt somewhat surprised. Everyone knew that the martial spirit was the most important support for a cultivator. If the martial spirit was destroyed, the cultivator's cultivation would be crippled and they would become a true cripple. Unless it was absolutely necessary, no one would reveal their martial spirit. Presumably, Song K was also forced into a corner. However, Song K's martial spirit seemed to be rather ordinary. It was just a mediocre long saber. The saber turned into a beam of light and quickly flew into the sky. Then, with a hung sound, it turned back into Song K's appearance. The thick saber in Song K's hand had already disappeared. In its place was a dazzling saber. This saber was Song K's martial spirit. After Song K used his martial spirit, his aura was much stronger than before. The pressure he gave off increased greatly. There was actually a trace of the aura of a martial monarch. Mount Tai suppression. Boundless rage flashed on Song K's swollen face. He stared at Xiao Chen on the ground and shouted loudly. A majestic mountain appeared behind Song Quebec. There were many trees on the mountain and countless flowers and plants. It was overflowing with greenery. When one looked at it, they could even see some birds and beasts standing on the mountain. This mysterious phenomenon can actually materialize living creatures. Xiao Chen looked at the rapidly descending mountain and said in astonishment. He did not know how Ao Jiao was going to break it. It was like a huge mountain was pressing down on the ground. The surrounding cultivators all felt a huge pressure. It was like the mountain was right above their heads. They immediately scattered in all directions. Ao Jiao's expression did not change. Instead, she revealed a faint smile. She stretched out her hand and grabbed the lunar shadow saber that was stabbed into the ground. Rumble. The instant the saber hilt landed in Ao Jiao's hand, the sky turned dark. Countless dark clouds churned and covered the sky, completely blocking out the sunlight. Thunder rumbled in the dark clouds. Suddenly, hundreds and thousands of lightning bolts appeared. They tore through the dark sky, like 10,000 horses galloping. They were boundlessly majestic, illuminating the dark space in an incomparably resplendent manner. The electricity gathered on Ao Jiao's body and instantly disappeared. The surroundings turned dark once again. All this happened in an instant. The surrounding people all felt that it was unreal. Drawing the saber. Just as everyone was doubting whether the scene of the sky tearing apart was real or not, the lunar shadow saber suddenly burst forth with a dazzling light. It was the gathering of thousands of lightning bolts. It was extremely resplendent. The light was so bright that no one dared to look at it directly. It felt like their eyes were being pricked by needles. Bang! The instant Mount Tai pressed down, the lunar shadow saber struck the base of the tall mountain. There was an intense explosion, and the majestic mountain shattered into countless pieces. The mysterious phenomenon was broken. Logically speaking, Song K should have suffered a huge backlash at this moment. However, although his face became a little paler, he did not suffer any serious internal injuries. Jadeite Mountain Range. The shattered mountain rocks suddenly condensed in the middle of the sky, forming an endless chain of mountain peaks. As far as the eye could see, there were mountain ranges stacked on top of each other. The peaks were majestic, and the mountains and plains were like a painting. It was a beautiful scene of mountains and rivers, a group of jadeite mountains. Ao Jiao revealed a faint smile on her face. Like before, there were no major changes. Regardless of whether Mount Tai pressed down or the jadeite mountain range, I will remain unmoved, smiling at the wind and clouds. Who? Just as the mountain range was about to completely form, Ao Jiao tossed the lunar shadow saber into the air. With a shua sound, the lunar shadow saber turned into a huge thunder rock. Is this the rank 6 demonic core of the lunar shadow saber? Xiao Chen asked uncertainly as he looked at the thunder rock in the air. This was because the aura of this thunder rock was far more horrifying than a rank 6 demonic beast. After a while, Xiao Chen said in astonishment, could it be that this is the Thunder King's martial spirit? The thunder rock spread its wings and gave off a deafening cry. Its claws flickered with a boundless electric light as it slashed through the air. The electric light flickered and a pitch-black space appeared. The thunder rock actually tore this space apart. The pitch-black space slowly expanded. In the blink of an eye, the endless chain of mountains was swallowed up by the darkness. Song K was astonished. He swung his saber in the air and shouted, 10,000 years, heaven and earth exist forever. Only I am immortal, beautiful mountains and rivers. Ao Jiao revealed an impatient expression and said coldly, are you done yet? There was a flash of white light and she appeared in the middle of the college entrance examination. The thunder rock turned back into the lunar shadow saber and flew back into her hands. Before Song K's beautiful mountains and rivers could form, she used the saber to cut a long wound on Song K's chest. The electric light on the wound leaped around. Song K's martial technique was interrupted and he suffered even more injuries. He vomited a mouthful of blood and quickly fell to the ground like a kite with its string cut. Bang! Ao Jiao's figure was like a ghost as she appeared behind Song Quebec. She sent out a kick and sent Song K flying into the air. Then, just as he was about to land, she appeared again and sent him flying again. This repeated over and over again. Every time she sent out a kick, Song K would vomit a mouthful of blood. After a long time, Ao Jiao finally stopped. Song K's body finally landed heavily on the ground like a rubber ball. There was a loud bang and dust was kicked up. Song K's body bounced on the ground a few times before he stopped struggling. Only at this moment did Song K realize that he was not a match for Ao Jiao. The enemy he faced was most likely a peak martial monarch. The other party did not care about him at all. His Mount Tai suppression, jadeite mountains, and beautiful mountains and rivers were all child's play in her eyes. She was just toying with him. When Song K saw Ao Jiao slowly walking over, he started to feel fear in his heart. An aura of death appeared in his heart. He moved his body and retreated continuously. He said loudly, don't kill me. I will never dare to have any designs on Qingyun Peak again. A peak master actually begged Xiao Chen for mercy. The many heavenly saber peak inner disciples in the distance were all astonished. They all looked down on Song K in their hearts. He was too spineless. There were a few disciples wearing Biyun Peak's uniform in the crowd. When they saw this scene, they all blushed. If their peak master was so spineless, they would not be able to face others in the future. Ding ding dang dang. Suddenly, there was the melodious sound of a zither coming from the sky. All sorts of musical instruments mixed together, giving off a heavenly sound. It made everyone feel at ease for some reason. When they looked up, they saw a crystalline jade ship surrounded by clouds. The music did not stop, coming from afar. In an instant, it flew from the horizon to the eyes of the crowd. An exquisite girl flew from the bow of the ship, passing through the clouds. She was like a fairy as she slowly descended from the sky. When Song K saw this person, he revealed an expression of joy. He said loudly, Martial Ant Shen, quickly come and save me. This person has offended his superiors, deceived his master, and attacked the Biyun Peak's peak master. He has already committed a great crime. Shameless. When everyone heard this, these words instantly appeared in their hearts. A dignified peak master, a peak martial king, was actually reduced to using sect rules to suppress the younger generation. In the 10,000 years of history of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion, there had never been such a shameless peak master. He had completely lost the face of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. When the fairy-like girl in the sky saw this scene, she could not help but frown slightly. Earlier, after she forced Chu Xinyun to tell her why she was injured, she immediately rushed over. Chapter 169. She understood Song K's temper very well. She originally thought that she had rushed over to stop Song K from making things difficult for Qingyun Peak. She did not expect the situation to be like this, it was the complete opposite of what she expected. After Ao Jiao raised her head and glanced at this person, she did not look at him a second time. She knew that she no longer had the opportunity to kill Song Quebec. She turned around and walked towards Lu Riyue, who was lying on the ground. Lu Riyue used listening to the sword and communicating with it with her severely injured body. She was currently very weak. If she did not receive proper treatment, she might even lose some of her cultivation. Ao Jiao controlled Xiao Chen's body and walked over to Lu Riyue. Under Lu Suifeng's flabbergasted gaze, she carried Lu Riyue from his embrace. Lu Riyue was currently extremely weak. Even if she wanted to resist, she did not have the strength to struggle free from Ao Jiao's hands. She could not help but look at Xiao Chen with doubt in her eyes. Lu Riyue instinctively felt that something was wrong with the current Xiao Chen. He asked doubtfully, "Yi Chen, what are you doing?" At the same time, Xiao Chen had a bad premonition. At the same time, he asked, "Ao Jiao, what are you trying to do?" See. Ao Jiao ignored the voices of the two. She pressed her lips against Lu Riyue's. A golden light blossomed between his lips and slowly flowed into Lu Riyue's mouth. This was the purest essence of heaven and earth. It contained boundless life force and many other benefits. Damn it, Ao Jiao, are you trying to kill me? No, I am trying to save someone. How dare you say that? But why are you sticking your tongue out? Bastard! This. I have never kissed before, so I could not help but give it a try. Shut up. You are still trying to act innocent after getting the advantage. Lu Riyue stared at Xiao Chen with wide eyes. Her gaze was filled with astonishment. Xiao Chen met her gaze and saw her expression clearly. He could see her expression clearly, but he couldn't move his body, so he couldn't feel anything. Pop! Ao Jiao controlled Xiao Chen's body and left Lu Riyue's lips. The sound was not loud, but it was very quiet at the foot of the mountain. However, this was like a heavy bomb exploding in the hearts of the surrounding Heavenly Saber Pavilion inner disciples. All of a sudden, these people's hearts were shattered. Everyone knew that there were 3 goddesses in the Heavenly Saber Pavilion, the Young Pavilion Master, Len Liusu, Jade Maiden Peaks Chu Xinyun, and Qingyun Peaks Lu Riyue. Although Lu Riyue did not have as many pursuers as the previous 2, this was only because her temper was too fiery. However, no one dared to deny Lu Riyue's beauty. Her temperament was filled with a mature charm. Her charm was not something that inexperienced girls like Len Liusu or Chu Xinyun could compare to. In every man's heart, there was a dream of a domineering elder sister. This should be Lu Riyue's first kiss. Aside from the initial shock, everyone looked at Xiao Chen with different gazes. They were filled with undisguised envy, jealousy, and hatred. With a loud bang, their hearts were completely shattered. Ao Jiao revealed an expression of enjoyment. In the eyes of the crowd, it was as wretched as it could be. It's over. In the future, there will only be 2 goddesses in our Heavenly Saber Pavilion. Indeed, this brat is too dishonest. It's fine if you kissed her, but why did you have to show such a wretched expression? I hate it. If only it were me. This is senior sister Lu Riyue's first kiss. After a moment of silence, the crowd erupted into an uproar. The way they looked at Xiao Chen turned from envious, jealous, and hateful expressions into murderous gazes. However, the crowd did not know that Xiao Chen was suffering in silence. He had already started cursing. If he felt anything, it would be fine. However, he did not feel anything at all. His first kiss was gone just like that. He had become the scapegoat for Ao Jiao. Trashy master, remember to comprehend listening to the sword and communicating with it as soon as possible. That way, I will be able to come out and play occasionally. Also, remember to refine the broken sword in the universe ring as soon as possible. Ao Jiao's cheerful voice sounded somewhat fatigued. After she spoke, Xiao Chen felt dizzy. He regained control of his body. He recovered his wits and quickly let go of Lu Riyue. When he saw her blood-stained face, he said anxiously, "Elder sister Riyue, Lu Riyue smiled faintly. Her pretty face was like a flower. Even though her face was covered in blood, it could not hide her charm. Don't be silly, I know it was not you. After Lu Riyue spoke, she closed her eyes and sat down cross-legged. She started to slowly absorb the essence of heaven and earth into her body. The essence of heaven and earth that Ao Jiao gave Lu Riyue this time was even more than what she gave by previously. She would need at least half a month to completely absorb it. It could be said that this was a blessing in disguise for Ao Jiao. Not only would her cultivation not drop, it would even improve after half a month. Xiao Chen heaved a sigh of relief. When his gaze fell on Lu Riyue's long eyelashes, he discovered that her eyelashes could not help but tremble slightly. It looks like elder sister Riyue is not as calm as she said. Xiao Chen sighed in his heart. He did not know whether this was a blessing or a disaster. How should he face this in the future? Pu Ci. Song Ke, who was not far away, asked the mysterious girl for a medicinal pill. The pained expression on his face finally eased up a little. At this moment, he suddenly felt that the horrifying aura on Xiao Chen's body had completely disappeared. It was obvious that the state he was in earlier had disappeared. When Song Ke thought of the humiliation he suffered today, he felt very sullen. When he saw that Xiao Chen was not paying attention to him, a murderous intent appeared in his eyes. Xiao Chen's body bounced up in the air and he picked up the saber on the ground. There was a flash of white light, and Song Ke had already arrived behind Xiao Chen. He raised the saber in his hand and swung it down ruthlessly at Xiao Chen's back. When the surrounding crowd saw this scene, they were astonished. This Song Ke was simply too shameless. He actually used a sneak attack on a junior. Xiao Chen's heart tightened. My life is over. From the moment Song Ke grasped his saber, he felt a sharp killing chi. However, without Ao Jiao possessing his body, even if he felt the killing chi, his body would not be able to react in time to a peak martial king. The most important thing was that he was attacked from behind. If he wanted to counterattack, he would not even have the chance to turn around. Scram! Just at this moment, a shout came from the summit of Qingyun Mountain. It was the word, scram. It was like it traveled through time and space and pierced through space. It carried a boundless force as it smashed into Song Ke's body. The crowd seemed to clearly see the word, scram, imprinted on Song Ke's body. A small world appeared in the sky. Song Ke's body suddenly curled up and rolled back like a rubber ball. Boom! 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 After rolling for an unknown distance, Song Ke's figure completely disappeared from the foot of Qingyun Peak. After taking a trip to the gates of hell, Xiao Chen felt a chill run down his back. He could not help but break out in a cold sweat. Who is Yi Chen? Suddenly, four martial kings wearing the law enforcement hall's uniform descended from the sky. After they landed, they immediately asked loudly. It turned out that when Song Qianhe saw that his father was in danger, he had sent people to inform the law enforcement hall. Seeing that the law enforcement hall's people had arrived, Song Qianhe, who was wrapped up like a dumpling, quickly jumped out. He pointed at Xiao Chen and said loudly, "He is the one who has no respect for his elders. First, he insulted my father. Then, he borrowed a secret treasure and tried to kill the Biyun Peak's peak master. He has committed great crimes. I beseech the law enforcement hall's elders to kill this person on the spot. The law enforcement hall knows what they are doing. It is not up to you to interfere." One of the people looked at Song Qianhe with disgust. Another person took a step forward and said to Xiao Chen, "Come with us. We will investigate this matter before you leave." When Lu Riyue, who was sitting cross-legged and recuperating, heard the law enforcement hall's voice, she quickly got up and interrupted her recuperation. She said, "Wait a moment. I will personally make a trip to the law enforcement hall 3 days from now. Would everyone please take your leave for now?" Lu Riyue was very clear on what kind of place the law enforcement hall was. They would handle ordinary matters impartially. However, if it involved the upper echelons of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion, after Xiaochen entered, he would not have a chance to come out. Who knows what will happen in 3 days? If you want to explain yourself, then come with us now. That person did not accept Lu Riyue's suggestion and said in an unyielding manner. Lu Riyue was injured. Naturally, she could not follow them now. Xiaochen took the initiative and said, "Don't make things difficult for my master. I will go with you." Boom! Just at this moment, a rectangular wooden box landed in front of the 4 law enforcement hall marshal kings. The wooden box was facing the 4 law enforcement hall marshal kings. The wooden box looked very ordinary, one could not see anything different about it with the naked eye. However, there were 4 bold and tyrannical words written on it, like an emperor had arrived personally. When the 4 law enforcement hall marshal kings saw the words on the wooden box, their expressions changed greatly. They raised their heads and bowed respectfully to the summit of Qingyun Peak. Then, they left the place as though they were fleeing. It was like an invisible hand had descended from the sky and grabbed the wooden shavings. With a schwa sound, the hand withdrew, as though nothing had happened. That wooden box looked familiar. However, Xiaochen could not be bothered to think about it. He turned around and pushed Lu Riyue down again. He said, "Continue recuperating. You wasted all the time you spent recuperating." Lu Riyue nodded gently. She had a complicated gaze as she looked at the towering summit of Qingyun Peak. She sighed to herself and sat down cross-legged again. The mysterious fairy-like girl had a gentle smile on her face. She slowly walked to Xiaochen's side and said, "Heroes emerge from youth. I have made this trip for nothing. If you have time in the future, I hope that little brother Yi can make a trip to Jade Maiden Peak." After she spoke, the girl took out a bottle of medicinal pills and handed it to Lu Suifeng. She instructed him to hand it to Lu Riyue. Lu Suifeng's pig-like face revealed an excited expression. However, what happened next caused the excitement in his heart to instantly vanish. The girl handed a name card to Xiaochen and said, "If you have time, please make a trip to Jade Maiden Peak." Under the envious gazes of all the surrounding Heavenly Saber Pavilion inner disciples, Xiaochen received the name card. The aura of this girl was extraordinary. With one glance, it was as though he had fallen into a deep abyss, unable to extricate himself. He could not help but feel it was strange. How could there be such a beautiful girl in Jade Maiden Peak? She is even more outstanding than Chu Xinyun. He cupped his hands and said, "Many thanks for elder sister's invitation. If I have time in the future, I will definitely make a trip to Jade Maiden Peak." After Xiaochen spoke, the surrounding people all revealed strange expressions. They could not help but think in their hearts, "This brat is too shameless. He is even more shameless than that old man Song Quebec." Chapter 170. When the girl heard this, she was stunned at first. Then, she laughed out loud. She was like a fairy, captivating everyone and causing them to raise their eyebrows. "Remember to come. I will take my leave first." After the girl spoke, she floated up and returned to the jade ship. The celestial music rang out again. The fairy rode on the misty jade ship and slowly disappeared from everyone's sight. Seeing everyone's gaze, Xiaochen felt like he said something wrong. However, he could not figure out what went wrong. He could not help but look at Lu Suifeng. Lu Suifeng moved closer to Xiaochen's ear and said in a low voice, "That was our ancestral martial aunt earlier. She is more than 200 years old. In the Heavenly Saber Pavilion, she is like an immortal." Even though Xiaochen's skin was thicker than the city walls, he could not help but blush at this moment. He actually called a 200-year-old ancestral martial aunt Lu Suifeng elder sister. This joke was too big. Lu Suifeng continued, "Ancestral martial aunt actually personally handed me the medicinal pill. She thinks too highly of me. In the future, when I chase after Miss Xinyun, I will be able to get twice the results with half the effort. However, when he saw Xiao Chen casually place the name card in his bosom, the pride in his heart instantly vanished. He could only sigh. Comparisons are odious. Since the surrounding disciples had nothing to see, they all left. After this battle, Yi Chen's name would definitely spread throughout the entire Heavenly Saber Pavilion. Not only did he defeat the Martial King of Biyun Peak, he even received a personal invitation from the Jade Maiden Peak's ancestral martial ant. In the past few hundred years, no one had been as glorious as Xiao Chen. After everyone left, Xiao Chen and Lu Suifeng stayed behind to take care of Lu Riyue, who was in the midst of recuperating. The sun completely disappeared into the horizon, night finally descended. Lu Riyue's injuries were clearly very severe, aside from her internal injuries. Aside from internal injuries, there were even more horrifying external injuries. Her body was covered in saber wounds of varying depths. It looked very horrifying. This time, Lu Riyue would not be able to recover completely without at least half a month. Furthermore, with so many scars on her body, it would be very unsightly. Suddenly, Xiao Chen thought of the medicinal pills in the Compendium of Cultivation. There was a beauty-nourishing pill for women. After consuming it, removing scars was just an additional function. The most important thing was to make the woman's skin look like water, whiter and smoother. Furthermore, the effects could last for 40 years. However, he needed too many herbs. It would be very troublesome to find them. Xiao Chen recalled Lu Suifeng mentioning that the Heavenly Saber Pavilion had a great medicinal herb store. So, he asked, Suifeng, where is the Heavenly Saber Pavilion's medicinal herbs? Lu Suifeng replied, it's on Jade Maiden Peak. There is a very large medicinal field there. Almost all the medicinal herbs in the world are grown there. Why are you asking about this? When Xiao Chen heard this, he rejoiced in his heart. He quickly asked, how can I buy them? Spirit stones? Spiritual. Lu. Xiao Lu, he, spiritual, Lu. He, was, he. Lu Suifeng quickly replied. These were the most basic things in the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. If he stayed here for a while longer, he would know. Merit points? Xiao Chen said, what is it? I've been here for so long. How come I've never heard of it? Lu Suifeng smiled gently and said, you have always been training in the dueling grounds and have never gone out. How could you possibly know? There is a hall in the heaven viewing platform that gives out missions. After inner disciples complete their missions there, they can receive their contribution points. These merit points can be exchanged for spirit stones, medicinal pills, medicinal herbs of different ages, battle armors, soul weapons, martial techniques, and cultivation techniques. Almost anything related to cultivation can be exchanged. After you find enough contribution points, you can go to Jade Maiden Peak to exchange for the herbs you need. However, I see that Ancestral Martial Ant thinks very highly of you. Maybe you can do her a favor. The two of them stopped talking. Xiao Chen entered deep thought. It looks like the Heavenly Saber Pavilion is not as simple as I thought. There is already a complete internal system. However, this is normal. This is a sect that has existed for tens of thousands of years. If they do not even have a complete system, it would be strange. In the middle of the night, Lu Suifeng started to feel sleepy. Xiao Chen saw that there was no danger at the foot of the mountain, so he let Lu Suifeng go to sleep. He stood guard here alone. A cool breeze blew gently as Xiao Chen sat beside Lu Riyue. He had nothing to do as he looked at the night sky filled with stars. Using the weak starlight, Xiao Chen took out the flowing cloud scripture that Lu Chen gave him and slowly flipped through it. The weak starlight could not obstruct Xiao Chen's vision. After he advanced to Martial Grand Master, he discovered that his 6 senses were much stronger than before. Although he could not see through the night like it was day, it was still easy for him to read the words in the book when he was awake. The flowing cloud scripture was derived from a remnant of an ancient martial scripture. The so-called martial scripture was very different from martial techniques and cultivation techniques. It could not be used directly in battle. It was not like martial techniques, which could manifest a cultivator's cultivation in their moves. It was also not like cultivation techniques, which could help a cultivator absorb spiritual energy to increase their cultivation. The martial scripture was similar to the nourishing life scriptures from his previous life. It was mainly used to regulate the essence in a cultivator's body. To put it more bluntly, it was to prevent the cultivator's essence from becoming chaotic and enter a state of berserking chi after cultivation. The martial scripture was not very useful for cultivators below martial king. This was because the essence in the body would not cause a situation like berserking chi. However, to Xiao Chen, it was very beneficial. He used the battle sage origins changing character formula to simulate more and more martial techniques. The effects were not that great yet. In the future, if he could not harmonize them with the martial techniques that he had learned, it would be a huge problem. If Xiao Chen prepared for a rainy day now, he would not have to worry about this problem in the future. Who? After an unknown period of time, just as Xiao Chen was struggling to keep his eyes open, Lu Riyue suddenly opened her eyes and stood up. Xiao Chen instantly reacted. He said joyfully, "Elder sister Riyue, your internal injuries should be more or less healed by now, right?" Lu Riyue smiled faintly, "Come with me to a place." Xiao Chen nodded gently and followed behind Lu Riyue, heading to the top of the mountain. Lu Riyue led Xiao Chen through many winding paths, secret routes that Xiao Chen did not know about. Finally, they stopped in front of a cave. Xiao Chen followed Lu Riyue into the cave. Not long after, he heard the sound of bubbling water. Warm, humid air wafted over. There should be a hot spring here, Xiao Chen guessed in his heart. However, he could not understand why Lu Riyue brought him here. Indeed, after walking for a while, a hot spring with steam rising from it appeared in front of the two of them. The steam permeated the surface of the water. There were bubbles coming out from time to time. "Turn around," Lu Riyue said softly. Xiao Chen's face turned slightly red, he guessed something. Lu Riyue took off her clothes, piece by piece. Then, there was a loud splash as she fell into the hot spring. Lu Riyue found a comfortable place to lie down. She said to Xiao Chen, "You can turn around now." Xiao Chen did not know what Lu Riyue was thinking. He could not figure it out. After hesitating for a while, he slowly turned around. After a while, he saw a scene of blood spurting out. He felt his blood surging. Amidst the mist, the blood on Lu Riyue's body had already faded away. Her voluptuous figure was faintly discernible in the water. It was incomparably tempting. It gave one the urge to commit a crime and immediately pounce over. "Come down, accompany me for a chat." Lu Riyue's voice sounded very lonely. It gave one a desolate feeling when they heard it. This immediately extinguished the burning flame in Xiao Chen's heart. With a pu tong sound, Xiao Chen jumped down and created a large splash. Then, he slowly sat down opposite Lu Riyue. When Lu Riyue saw the situation, she burst out laughing, "Do you not take off your clothes when soaking in the hot spring?" Xiao Chen smiled bitterly in his heart, "I would like to take them off. However, how would I dare to do so in front of you?" He could only smile and say something that he did not mean, "It's fine. I am used to soaking in the hot spring like this. If I take off my clothes, I will feel uncomfortable." After laughing, Lu Riyue seemed to be in a much better mood. She explained, "This hot spring is not an ordinary hot spring. It originates from a medicinal spring in Jade Maiden Peak. By soaking in it, you can quickly treat your external injuries. When I was young, I liked to soak in the hot spring. At that time, there was not much water in the hot spring. I rarely came here. However, I was very happy every time." Lu Riyue revealed an extremely warm smile on her face. It was like she was recalling a very happy past. However, after a while, she turned desolate. However, after Qingyun Peak declined, I came here more and more often. At that time, I would fight with people every day. When Sui Feng, Xiao Yang, and the others were young, they were often bullied. Every time, I would rush over immediately. No matter who bullied them, I would make them pay 10-fold or 100-fold. No matter how injured I was, I would make them pay. Since I was young, those people never gave up on the idea of swallowing Qingyun Peak. They used threats and temptations. They used all sorts of despicable methods. I endured until today. I would fight almost every once in a while. I forced myself to become stronger, walking step by step to where I am today. Lu Riyue was like a chatterbox. She spoke a lot in a short while. Aside from the grievances she suffered when she was young, she talked more about the glory of Qingyun Peak in the past. At that time, she was still young. Qingyun Peak was the top peak of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. The dueling grounds were packed with people every day. The foot of the mountain was crowded with people every day, there was an endless stream of people coming and going. After that, she personally witnessed the tragic change in Qingyun Peak. Those people who tried to curry favor with Qingyun Peak all turned around and trampled on them. Such a huge change dealt a great blow to her young heart. Xiaochen felt sorrowful in his heart. He felt that they were in the same boat. When he was young, he had fallen from the peak to the bottom as well. He had suffered the cold gazes and humiliation of everyone. However, that Xiaochen chose to sink into depravity. From then on, he was unable to recover. If it were not for Xiaochen's arrival, he might have been mediocre for the rest of his life. However, Lu Riyue chose to shoulder all of this alone. She turned into a rose with thorns. Her character was as sharp as a sword. She was ruthless to her enemies and even more ruthless to herself. Chapter 171. She hid her weak side under her saber, not letting anyone see it. After suppressing it for a long time, she poured out all the grievances and suffering she had suffered in one breath. In the end, the corners of Lu Riyue's eyes turned moist. After a while, her tears turned into a smile. Thank you for chatting with me for so long. Go back first, let me be alone for a while. Everyone needed to vent, especially those women who looked like strong women. If they kept the loneliness in their hearts, they would definitely suffer from it for a long time. Xiaochen smiled faintly and slowly got up. He had already tossed aside the desires in his heart. Since he had completed his mission, there was no need to stay here any longer. Xiaochen took out a set of clean clothes from the universe ring and placed them at the side of the hot spring. Then, he jumped out and headed for the entrance of the cave. Xiaochen knew that when he walked out of the cave and saw Lu Riyue again, she would turn back into that thorny rose. She would only reveal her saber-like appearance. She would no longer have the appearance of a little girl. Seeing Xiaochen leave, Lu Riyue felt slightly disappointed in her heart. After a while, she smiled bitterly and shook her head. Then, she sank her entire body into the water. The misty hot spring made one feel warm. However, one's heart slowly cooled down. There were some things that were impossible, one should not think about them. Early the next morning, Xiaochen held the name card in his hand and thought about it carefully. In the end, he decided to make a trip to Jade Maiden Peak. Although the medicinal spring could speed up the healing of Lu Riyue's wounds, it would definitely not be as effective as the medicinal pill he was going to refine. However, in terms of removing scars, it was definitely not as good as the pill he was going to concoct. Thus, he wrote down all the herbs he needed and went to look for Lu Suifeng. When Lu Suifeng heard that Xiaochen wanted him to bring him to Jade Maiden Peak, he quickly shook his head and said, "I can't. Look at how swollen my face is, like a pig's head. How can I go out like that? If Miss Xinyun saw me, I would feel like dying." Xiao Qin did not expect Lu Suifeng to use such a reason to reject him. He found it funny and settled for the next best thing. Then, can you send me to the foot of Jade Maiden Peak? Lu Suifeng laughed and said, let me say this first, I will not go up the mountain. I will go change into a cloak later. After a while, Lu Suifeng appeared wearing a pitch-black cloak. The hood completely covered his face in the shadows, making it hard for others to see him clearly. However, it looked somewhat strange. Hee, that's more like it. Lead the way. Xiao Qin said with a faint smile. When Lu Suifeng had nothing to do, he liked to go to Jade Maiden Peak. Thus, he was very familiar with the route. He led Xiao Qin to the foot of Jade Maiden Peak. Jade Maiden Peak towered high above the ground. Clouds and mist lingered at the peak, and there were countless lush greenery in the mountains. The entire Jade Maiden Peak was filled with a delicate fragrance. It could be smelled from far away, and when one smelled it, it made one feel relaxed and happy. What surprised Xiao Qin was that there were many disciples from the other peaks at the foot of the mountain. All of them were standing there elegantly in groups of 2s and 3s, chatting and laughing. There are Jade Maiden Peak disciples coming down the mountain. Suddenly, someone said loudly. The crowd was instantly stirred up, and they all rushed over like a swarm of bees. They did not care about their elegance as they pushed and shoved each other to the front. They only wanted to be the first to reach the Jade Maiden Peak disciples. Junior Sister Xiao, are you going to do a sect mission? Let me accompany you. I recently advanced to Superior Grade Martial Grand Master. I can guarantee your safety. Junior Sister Xiao, I obtained an Earth-ranked spirit weapon a few days ago. My strength has increased greatly. Let me accompany you. Let me accompany you. Junior Sister Xiao, I have a profound ranked battle armor. I can give it to you, and it will protect you. A girl in white clothes was surrounded by the crowd like the moon surrounded by stars. There were Heavenly Saber Pavilion inner disciples in the surroundings, trying to please her. They all expressed their desire to go with her to do sect missions. The girl with the surname Xiao had an impatient expression on her face. She ignored the people around her. In the end, she became annoyed and scolded the people around her. Only then did no one continue to follow her. Xiao Qin found it interesting and asked, what's going on? Why is there a group of people surrounding a girl? Lu Suifeng replied, the other peaks of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion have more males than females. If those disciples want to find a girl, they can only target Jade Maiden Peak. However, men are not allowed to go up Jade Maiden Peak. So they can only wait at the bottom of the mountain. So that's the case. How did Lu Suifeng go up? When Xiao Qin thought of this, he could not help but ask suspiciously. Could there be something special about Lu Suifeng? Lu Suifeng smiled proudly, who am I? How can these people compare to me? If I want to enter Jade Maiden Peak, it would be easy. Furthermore, I would be very popular. These people cannot compare to me. As he spoke, the Jade Maiden Peak disciple with the surname Xiao walked over to the two of them. Lu Suifeng was clearly nervous. He quickly stopped talking and lowered his head. The instant she walked past them, the girl suddenly stopped. She turned around and looked at Lu Suifeng carefully. After a while, she revealed a strange expression. Lu Suifeng, why are you dressed like that? Didn't you apply for leave due to your injuries? Why are you so lively now? I was just about to look for you. Lu Suifeng smiled helplessly. Junior Sister Xiao, I am here to accompany a friend. I am really injured. I am not lying to you. Junior Sister Xiao snorted, who would believe you? Quickly come back with me. After you left for the past few days, there have been birds pecking at the herb field that I am in charge of. I was scolded by Master. Quickly come back with me and help me chase away those birds. Otherwise, I will tell Master that you are lying. You will not be allowed to go up there in the future. Let's see how you are going to chase after senior sister Chu then. Xiaochen found it funny. So this Lu Suifeng is on Jade Maiden Peak, doing things like chasing birds to protect the herb field. He was so magnanimous earlier. No wonder he can go up Jade Maiden Peak. When the surrounding people heard that junior sister Xiao needed to go up the mountain to chase away the birds, they all surrounded her. They shouted, "Since he is not willing, I will go and help you." Junior sister Xiao snorted and said, "Who asked you to go? Go somewhere cool and stay." Xiaochen was astonished in his heart. He did not expect that there would be so many people fighting over a job like chasing birds. From this perspective, Lu Suifeng did indeed have the right to be arrogant. Lu Suifeng was forced into a corner, he was caught red-handed. He could only follow junior sister Xiao to Jade Maiden Peak. Xiaochen followed behind the two of them in silence. Who is he? Doesn't he know that outsiders are not allowed to enter Jade Maiden Peak? Junior sister Xiao said unhappily when she saw Xiaochen following them. Lu Suifeng quickly explained, he has a name card from Martial Granduncle. He was invited. You are Yi Chen. Junior sister Xiao's eyes lit up as she said in pleasant surprise. After a while, she pouted and said, he does not look that good. Why did you chase Song Ke away? This girl was really direct. Xiaochen smiled faintly and did not reply. The three of them continued walking forward. Along the way, Xiaochen found out how Lu Suifeng chased the birds away. The herb field on Jade Maiden Peak was very vast. Many of the birds on the mountain had their eyes on the herb field. Occasionally, they would go down and peck at the herbs. Furthermore, these birds were not ordinary birds. They had been bathing in the rich spiritual energy of Jade Maiden Peak for a long time. Their intelligence was much higher than the birds on the mountain. Once they found an opening, they would immediately swarm over. Just any one of the herbs in the herb field on the peak would be worth 1,000 gold. It would be a pity if an old herb was eaten by the birds. Hence, the upper echelons of Jade Maiden Peak had a headache dealing with these birds. Sometimes, when some spirit herbs matured, there would even be high-ranked flying spirit beasts coming over. Hence, every herb field would be guarded by people. There was a period of time when Jade Maiden Peak did not have enough manpower. Hence, they issued a sect mission. Lu Suifeng was very lucky and received this mission. Lu Suifeng was very good at chasing birds away. As long as it was the herb field that he was guarding, there would never be a bird pecking at it. Hence, when the deadline for the mission was up, the Jade Maiden Peak's peak master even gave him the position of a field guard, in charge of chasing birds away. Xiaochen also found out that the girl with the surname Xiao was called Yuhuan. She was 14 years old this year. Along the way, she often pestered Xiaochen and asked him some strange questions, giving him a headache. Soon, the group arrived at the first checkpoint. Xiaochen handed over his martial granduncle's name card. The person guarding the checkpoint did not stop them. He even sent someone to lead the way for Xiaochen. When they saw Xiaochen directly climbing up Jade Maiden Peak, the people at the foot of the mountain were extremely astonished. Some of them thought that they would be able to climb up Jade Maiden Peak directly. In the end, before they reached the checkpoint, they were mercilessly thrown down from the slope. They fell flat on their faces and rolled down. They had lost a lot of face. We can't go up. How can that brat go in directly? Someone said in astonishment. There was someone who had seen Xiaochen yesterday. He mocked, he is using Martial Granduncle Shin's name card. If you have it, of course, you can go up directly as well. So, he is Yi Chen. He is only an inferior grade Martial Grand Master. How did he chase Song Ke away? He used Qingyun Peak's secret treasure to chase Song Ke away. Furthermore, the old peak master of Qingyun Peak also made a move. With his strength, how could he be a match for the Biyun Peak's peak master? On the peak, Xiaochen still could not hear these words. After he arrived at a herb field, he no longer traveled with Lu Suifeng and Xiao Yuhuan. Herb fields appeared in front of Xiao Chen one after another. It was an eye-opener. Lu Suifeng's words were indeed true. As he walked, he saw over 10,000 herbs. Aside from some spirit herbs that required a special environment to grow, all the herbs in the Tianwu continent could be easily found here. After a while, Xiao Chen was brought to the top of a steep cliff. There was a wooden pavilion at the side of the cliff. It stood in the air, like a pavilion in the sky. "Senior Brother Yi, wait here for a while. I will go and inform Marshal Grand Uncle first." Xiao Chen nodded. Not long later, the girl who brought Xiao Chen here came out and led Xiao Chen to the hall of the pavilion. The fairy-like girl that he saw yesterday was sitting on a wooden chair with a gentle smile on her face. When Xiao Chen saw this girl again, he still could not believe that she was already over 200 years old. Chapter 172. However, this time, he did not dare to be careless. Xiao Chen said respectfully, "Yi Chen greets ancestral martial aunt. I have offended you yesterday. I hope ancestral martial aunt is magnanimous enough to forgive me." The girl smiled faintly and took out a bottle of pills and handed it to Xiao Chen. She said, "No problem. I did not expect you to fall today. I have something to ask you. Did you personally refine this pill?" Xiao Chen received it and took a look. It was the blood-replenishing pill that he personally refined. He started to think. Back then, when Nangong Yen saw the pill that I refined, he was incomparably shocked as well. Could it be that the pill that I refined has some sort of secret? However, this was not the time to think about this. How should he answer? After hesitating for a while, Xiao Chen decided to answer honestly, reporting to ancestral martial aunt, "This pill was indeed personally refined by me. I wonder if there is anything wrong with it." A strange look flashed in the depths of the fairy-like girl's eyes. She smiled and said, "There is nothing wrong with it. I would like to ask you to help me refine a pill. I wonder if you can help me with this." Lingyun Mountain Range, at the foot of Qingyun Peak, Ling Liusu had a complicated expression as she stood there. After hesitating for a while, she finally made up her mind. She turned into a red shadow and quickly headed for the middle of the mountain. After a while, she arrived outside Lu Riyue's courtyard at the middle of Qingyun Peak. She took out a bottle of pills and clenched it tightly. Finally, she entered Lu Riyue's courtyard. "Young pavilion master, why are you here?" Xiao Meng came out from Lu Riyue's room. When she saw Ling Liusu, she asked in astonishment. Ling Liusu said indifferently, "Where is Lu Riyue? Is she in her room?" Xiao Meng knew about the grudge between Lu Riyue and Ling Liusu. She did not like Ling Liusu. She said softly, "Elder sister Riyue just fell asleep. It is best not to disturb her now." "She fell asleep? That's good too." Ling Liusu took out the bottle of pills and handed it to Xiao Meng. She said, "Although I do not know the name of this pill, it is quite effective in treating external and internal injuries." Xiao Meng received it suspiciously. She opened the bottle and took out a pill. She revealed a doubtful expression and said, "Why is it the same as the pill that Brother Yi Chen gave me?" Ling Liusu, who was already at the door, stopped. She turned around and asked Xiao Meng excitedly, "Brother Yi Chen gave you this pill?" Xiao Meng nodded and took out a bottle of medicinal pills from her pocket. She said, "This is the medicinal pill that Brother Yi Chen gave Xiao Yang. It's exactly the same as yours." "Yi Chen, it is." It was like a bolt of lightning struck Ling Liusu's mind. She was stunned. She did not expect it to be Xiao Chen. Could it be that he was by her side that night? Ling Liusu recovered her wits and said, "Where is he? Where did he go? Is he still at Qingyun Peak?" Ling Liusu suddenly felt a rush to find Xiao Chen. The truth was too unbelievable. The person she had been searching for so long was actually that perverted thief. Yichen went to Jade Maiden Peak with Suifeng early in the morning. In Jade Maiden Peak, Xiaochen felt that he heard wrong. His martial granduncle actually wanted him to help him refine a medicinal pill. Although he could not feel the other party's strength, Xiaochen guessed that this person was at least a martial monarch. With such strength and being in Jade Maiden Peak for a long time, how could his alchemy skills be weak? Martial granduncle, are you joking? Brat, what virtue or ability do you have to help martial granduncle refine medicine? My name is Shen Manjun. You can just call me Senior Shen. Martial granduncle sounds very old. Truth be told, I have never liked it, said Shen Manjun with a gentle smile. I can sense the spirit core in your body, so I know the grade of your medicine. Therefore, the pill I want to concoct is not because of the grade, but because of the concoction method. I have a pill recipe here, take a look. Xiaochen suddenly felt a lingering fear in his heart. He had actually sensed his spiritual core in an instant, but he had not felt it at all. Just how strong was this person? Immortal Cloud Life Extending Pill. After taking a look at the alchemic recipe, Xiaochen was startled. His expression did not change, and Xiaochen looked at it carefully. After he finished looking, Xiaochen somewhat understood what Shen Manjun meant. It turned out that the refining method of this pill was exactly the same as the alchemy method in the Compendium of Cultivation. Shen Manjun might not have been able to figure it out. After he saw Xiaochen's blood replenishing pill, he immediately felt that the refining method of this blood replenishing pill was very different from the current refining method. This Immortal Cloud Life Extending Pill requires an ancient alchemy method. I am completely unable to figure out how to do it. This blood replenishing pill of yours should be refined using ancient alchemy methods. As long as you know how to do it, you should not be afraid of not being able to refine the Immortal Cloud Life Extending Pill, Shen Manjun said softly from the side. Xiaochen thought very quickly. When he thought of Nangong Yan's attitude back then, he felt that he could not admit to this matter immediately. After all, one might know a person for a long time, but not their heart. Xiaochen had only met Shen Manjun once or twice. If he admitted to it, it would be hard to guarantee the consequences. With his current strength, if something really happened to him, he would not be able to resist Shen Manjun at all. After he made up his mind, Xiaochen said in a deep voice, Senior Shen, my alchemy methods came from a mysterious alchemist. I do not understand the refining method of this Immortal Cloud Life Extending Pill. Shen Manjuan's eyes were filled with disappointment as she said, I need to refine this pill to save an old friend's life. If you can really refine it, I can help you raise your cultivation to the Martial Highness realm within a month. Unexpectedly, it was not for her. This surprised Xiaochen. However, looking at Shen Manjuan's vitality, it gave off the feeling that she had lived for a long time. It would not be a problem for her to live for another 100 years. She did not seem like someone who was lethargic. Raising his cultivation to Martial Saint within a month was not attractive to Xiaochen at all. He knew that there were medicinal pills in this world that could raise one's cultivation rapidly. Or they could receive the cultivation of their predecessors and directly raise their cultivation. Xiaochen did not know which method Shen Manjun was referring to. However, regardless of the method, they all had the same drawback. This cultivation was not his. If he could not refine it completely, it might become a hindrance in the future. When Shen Manjun saw that Xiaochen did not seem to be interested in this suggestion, she continued, if you are worried that you will not be able to refine this cultivation, you can choose other items of equivalent value. Be it spirit stones, secret treasures, martial techniques, medicinal pills, spirit weapons, or battle armor, they are all fine. Xiaochen quickly said, Senior Shen has misunderstood. I really do not know how to refine this Immortal Cloud Life Extending Pill. Even if you make a huge promise, there is nothing I can do. Although I do not know how to refine this Immortal Cloud Life Extending Pill, I do have an Immortal Cloud Life Extending Pill that has been passed down in my clan. I have not used it yet. If Senior needs it, I can exchange it with Senior. After Xiao Chen spoke, he stepped forward and took out the Immortal Cloud Life Extending Pill from his universe ring, handing it to Shin Manjun. To some of the older generation, this item was very valuable. However, it was useless to Xiao Chen. He might as well do her a favor. Coincidentally, he had something to ask of Shin Manjun. Killing two birds with one stone, why not? Shin Manjun's originally despaired heart suddenly rejoiced. She received the Immortal Cloud Life Extending Pill and checked it carefully. It was indeed a complete Immortal Cloud Life Extending Pill. However, it seemed a little different. This is a superior grade Immortal Cloud Life Extending Pill. Its effects are twice as good as a regular Immortal Cloud Life Extending Pill. It can extend a person's lifespan by 40 years, Shin Manjun said hoarsely when she finally saw what was different. Originally, Xiao Chen did not hold any hope. He did not expect to receive such a pleasant surprise. Shin Manjun revealed an extremely happy expression. Yi Chen, if you need anything, you can tell me immediately. If I can do it, I will do it for you immediately. If I can't, I will find someone to do it for you. Xiao Chen did not have anything that he needed urgently. However, he was anxious to obtain the ingredients for the beauty-nourishing pill. However, it was not worth it to use them to exchange for the Immortal Cloud Life Extending Pill. Can you exchange them for spirit stones? It would be best if you have medial-grade spirit stones. Shin Manjun opened her eyes wide. She did not expect Xiao Chen to make such a simple request. She smiled and said, that is easy. I will give you 500 inferior grade spirit stones and 20 medial grade spirit stones. What do you think? Being able to exchange for so many spirit stones shocked Xiao Chen. After a while, Xiao Chen said, actually, I came to Jade Maiden Peak today because I have a request. I hope to purchase some spirit herbs. Shin Manjun received the note that Xiao Chen handed over and took a look. After she finished reading, she said, I think you probably do not have any contribution points. So you want to use this as a backdoor. Unfortunately, I am not in charge of the herb fields on Jade Maiden Peak. Furthermore, I need contribution points to exchange for spirit herbs. Otherwise, even if I use spirit stones, I will not be able to purchase them. Xiao Chen continued, in that case, I would like to ask, how many contribution points do I need to exchange for these spirit herbs? Can Senior be my guarantor? I will owe you these contribution points first. I will definitely be able to repay them within a month. Shin Manjun muttered to herself for a while before saying, about 500 contribution points. Being a guarantor is indeed not in line with the rules. However, if you urgently need these spirit herbs, I can make an exception for you. Xiao Chen felt joy in his heart. He immediately wrote a promissory note. After Shin Manjun received it, she called someone over. Soon, someone brought over all the spirit herbs that Xiao Chen needed. Keep these spirit stones first. I only have 10 medial grade spirit stones on me. I will get someone to send the rest to you the day after tomorrow. Before Xiao Chen left, Shin Manjun passed the spirit stones to Xiao Chen. After leaving Shin Manjun's pavilion, Xiao Chen looked at the bright sun in the sky. He was in an extremely good mood. On this trip to Jade Maiden Peak, not only did he manage to complete his original plan, he even obtained so many spirit stones for free. It was simply a windfall. It looked like stealing Gu Yunbin's medicinal pills back then was a wise move. Xiao Chen's face was filled with a smile as he arrived at the herb field where Lu Suifeng was. Along the way, he met many Jade Maiden Peak disciples. All of them were as pretty as flowers, they were youthful and very pleasing to the eye. No wonder there were so many people at the foot of the mountain trying to get in. Even if they were doing odd jobs here, it was a blessing to have so many beauties watching them. It seemed like someone had already informed Xiao Chen. Along the way, he did not meet with any questions. He directly arrived at the herb field where Lu Suifeng was. Beside the herb field, Lu Suifeng was chewing on a stalk of grass. He wore a conical bamboo hat and sat on the ground listlessly. His expression was extremely unsightly. Chapter 173. Xiaochen walked over and smiled. Why is your complexion so unsightly? Were you dumped by someone? Lu Suifeng smiled bitterly and said, more or less. Earlier, when last Xiao took off my cloak, she immediately made fun of my pig face for a long time. Furthermore, she actually called Miss Xinyun over as well. My image has been completely destroyed. Do you think Miss Xinyun will still care about me in the future? This fellow wants to chase after someone, but he can't put down his pride. Xiaochen looked down on this in his heart. He did not want to discuss this topic with him, so he said, I have already obtained the herbs I wanted. I will go down the mountain first to refine the herbs for your sister. When Lu Suifeng heard this, his expression turned serious. I did not expect ancestral martial uncle to give you face. How did you do it? I placed 500 contribution points on ancestral martial uncle. I said I would return it within a month, Xiaochen answered honestly. When Lu Suifeng heard this, he said in astonishment, you are finished. I can't even get 50 contribution points a month. You actually want to get 500 contribution points in a month? When Xiaochen heard this, his expression changed. Could it be that 500 contribution points is a lot? Why did Senior Shin not remind me at that time? In reality, Xiaochen had misunderstood Shin Manjun. Shin Manjun had not done a sect mission for over 100 years already. Her impression of contribution points was still the same as before. Thus, she did not feel that it was difficult to obtain 500 contribution points in a month. If she knew, she would definitely extend the time. What will happen if I cannot complete it by the deadline? Xiaochen asked. Lu Suifeng scratched his head and said, that is hard to say. There has never been such a precedent before. However, the most important rule of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion is to accumulate contribution points. You will know about it in the future. If you set a precedent and still cannot complete it, the people from the Hall of Contributions will definitely let you off easily. This is because this precedent cannot be set. Xiaochen thought about it for a while and felt that what Lu Suifeng said made sense. Setting a precedent was already breaking the rules. If they still could not fulfill the agreement, the impact would be too bad. If Xiaochen were in the upper echelon's shoes and wanted to protect the Hall of Contributions' prestige, he would definitely kill the chicken to warn the monkey, shutting everyone's mouths. Lu Suifeng said, Yi Chen, why don't you talk to Marshal Granduncle again and ask him to extend the deadline? As the two of them were talking, a large flock of birds suddenly swooped down from the sky. The timing of this flock of birds was very good. It was the moment when Lu Suifeng was distracted. Lu Suifeng was already in a bad mood. When he saw the situation, he scolded angrily, bunch of bastards. There is no end to this. Swoosh! With a flick of his finger, a few stones flew out, and a few birds immediately fell to the ground. With a few more rustling sounds, the flock of birds was chased away. Senior brother's finger technique is really good. There will be bird meat to eat again tonight. Hee hee. Xiao Yuhuan laughed happily as she picked up the birds that fell to the ground. When Lu Suifeng saw that Xiao Yuhuan still dared to come out, he quickly chased after her and scolded, silly girl, you still dare to show yourself? I will beat you to death. Senior brother, don't worry. This pig head of yours actually has quite a character. Who knows, senior sister Xinyun might have a unique taste and fall in love with you. When Xiaochen saw the two of them chasing after Xiao Yuhuan, he smiled faintly and headed for Shin Manjun's pavilion. He felt that it was better to look for Shin Manjun again and extend the deadline to be safer. What? Marshal Granduncle already left? When is she coming back? When Xiaochen rushed to the pavilion, the maidservant at the door told him that Shin Manjun left right after Xiaochen left. I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 days, maybe 3 or 5 months. Marshal Granduncle's movements do not follow any pattern. Xiao Qin could only descend Jade Maiden Peak helplessly. There was still a large group of disciples from the other peaks waiting at the foot of the peak. Xiao Qin ignored these discussions and headed straight for Qingyun Peak. The most important thing now was to quickly refine the beauty-nourishing pill. After that, he would think of a way to obtain the 500 contribution points within a month, to prevent himself from getting into trouble. Halfway there, Xiao Qin suddenly stopped. He turned around and saw that there was no one behind him. Suddenly, he said, "Friend, after following me for so long, it is time to show yourself." There was no response. Xiao Qin thought suspiciously in his heart. Could it be that I sensed wrongly? Ever since he left Jade Maiden Peak, he felt a figure following behind him. He scanned the area with his spiritual sense a few times, but he did not feel anything. However, he did not completely trust his spiritual sense. His spiritual sense did not discover the martial saint behind him in Evil Wind Valley. Xiao Qin said it again, but there was still no one appearing. Xiao Qin could not be bothered with it anymore. Now that everyone knew there was an old peak master in Qingyun Peak, there should not be anyone seeking trouble. Just as Xiao Qin turned around to leave, a figure landed firmly on the ground. Xiao Qin quickly turned around with his guard up. When he saw the appearance of this person, he could not help but feel a headache. If this person wanted to seek trouble with him, there was no need for him to fear the old peak master of Qingyun Peak. That person looked at Xiao Qin quietly. It was unknown what he was thinking. The atmosphere seemed a little off. Xiao Qin looked at Ling Liusu's appearance. Unexpectedly, she did not make a move on him the moment he appeared. This was not in line with Ling Liusu's character. "Yi Qin, let me ask you. Were you the one who saved me from Ling Tianyue that day?" The two of them stared at each other for a long time. In the end, Ling Liusu could not help but ask. Although Xiao Qin was suspicious of how Ling Liusu knew about this, it was a good thing. This would resolve the misunderstanding between the two of them. Xiao Qin said indifferently, "You can say that. Why did you save me?" Xiao Qin smiled faintly. "Back then, when I entered a state of berserking qi in the pool of water, you coincidentally saved my life. I saved your life, so we are even." When Ling Liusu heard this, she smiled faintly. "Since you saved me, why did you take advantage of the situation to kiss me before you left? It looks like I did not misunderstand you when I called you a lecher." "Damn," she found out. Xiao Qin said awkwardly, "Did I? I don't seem to remember. Perhaps you sensed wrongly. Am I that unsightly? You kissed me, yet you do not even have the courage to admit it," Ling Liusu said sullenly as her expression changed. Xiao Qin could only correct himself, "You are not unsightly. I did kiss you." "Who?" Suddenly, Ling Liusu flew forward and drew her saber with a huang dang sound. A dazzling saber light created a strong wind as it hacked at Xiao Qin violently. She was still fine earlier, fighting as she pleased. Xiao Qin did not understand. He executed the 3 flowing cloud images and turned it into a vast ocean. The saber swung gently and splashed out like water. Water is good like water. Water benefits all things but does not fight. It looks like it does not fight, but in reality, it fights by not fighting. No matter how strong the external force is, it will not be able to quell the water. Even if it is really quelled, it will immediately recover. Even if you have thousands of soldiers and horses, splitting mountains and seas, I will not budge. I fight without fighting. This was the true meaning of the 3 flowing cloud images. Counterattacking while defending, using the unchanging to deal with the myriad changes. Dang! Ling Liusu took a step back. Her face was filled with astonishment. 3 months ago, she could still easily knock Xiao Qin back. Now that she had advanced to inferior grade martial saint, she could not knock him back. Ling Liusu pushed off the ground and hacked at him with her saber again. Xiao Qin frowned slightly and sheathed his saber with a huang dang sound. He did not dodge this saber strike. Leng Liusu's attack did not contain any killing intent. If they fought, there would be no end to it. Xiao Chen did not have the time to waste here, so he could only take the risk. Indeed, Leng Liusu's saber stopped when it was only half an inch away from Xiao Chen's forehead. The instant the saber stopped, the wind created by the saber trembled. It blew Xiao Chen's hair back gently. "Are you not afraid that I will kill you with one saber strike?" Leng Liusu said coldly, "Of all the masters, you chose to take Lu Riyue as your master." Xiao Chen's expression turned cold. He did not like hearing these words. He said indifferently, "Who I take as my master is up to me. I think the grudges between us have been settled. I gave you a chance to kill me earlier, but you did not. I will take my leave now." After retreating, Xiao Chen immediately turned around and executed the blue dragon cloud soaring art. He dashed on the ground and slowly disappeared from Leng Liusu's vision. Leng Liusu watched as Xiao Chen left. She smiled gently, leaving after eating. "Is there such a good thing? Lu Riyue, let's see how you are going to compete with me this time." After returning to Qingyun Peak, Xiao Chen stopped thinking about Leng Liusu. He focused on refining the beauty-nourishing pill. The rank of this beauty-nourishing pill was not high, but the ingredients needed to refine it were extremely complicated. Several of the ingredients required aged herbs. Furthermore, in order to prevent failure, he prepared a total of 5 sets of ingredients. This was the reason why the herbs were so expensive. Xiao Chen took out the blue dragon medicine cauldron and Feng Feishue's figure immediately appeared in his mind. He smiled gently and collected his thoughts. He said, "It seems like I have not refined a new medicinal pill for a long time. I wonder what my success rate is." Xiao Chen took out the herbs from the universe ring one by one and arranged them neatly on the table. He closed his eyes and started to carefully recall the steps to refining the beauty-nourishing pill. Not long after, Xiao Chen slowly opened his eyes. He revealed a confident expression. He flicked his finger and 6 strands of purple flames separated by half a meter. They formed a circle and floated around Xiao Chen. Today, Xiao Chen's cultivation realm was much higher than when he was in Mo City. Naturally, he no longer had to worry about the lack of essence or the lack of control. He could only use one strand of flame to extract the medicinal liquid. The instant Xiao Chen flicked out the flames with his right hand, he patted the wooden table with his left hand. He used his strength and the 6 herbs flew into the air. They automatically flew into the flames and started to burn. Who? With a thought from Xiao Chen, the spiritual core entered the flames using his spiritual sense. It instantly entered the interior of the 6 herbs and quickly found the nodes. After that, he controlled the flames and started to burn them continuously. The 6 strands of flames quickly revolved around Xiao Chen and the herbs in the center of the flames quickly melted. Xiao Chen's hands were very fast. He quickly placed 6 porcelain bottles on the table and caught all the medicinal liquid. Immediately, new herbs poured into the flames. Just like that, the herbs on the table slowly decreased while the number of porcelain bottles increased. Not long later, all the medicinal liquid had been burned. The first step of refining the pill was completed. Xiao Chen heaved a sigh of relief. He stretched out his right index finger and the flames gathered again. With a "so" sound, they were sent into the blue dragon medicine cauldron. Chapter 174. Xiao Chen followed the steps and slowly poured the medicinal liquids on the table into the medicine cauldron. When all the medicinal liquids were poured in, a fragrant medicinal fragrance assaulted his nose and spread throughout the entire room. Xiao Chen patiently controlled the purple thunder true fire and slowly merged the medicinal liquids together. Some of the unnecessary impurities flowed out of the mouth of the blue dragon medicine cauldron. Although the refining method of the beauty-nourishing pill was complicated, its rank was not very high. Thus, it was relatively easy to refine, it just required a little more time. ZZ. After burning for a long time, the medicinal embryo of the beauty-nourishing pill finally formed. Xiao Qian started to lower the temperature of the flame and proceeded to the third step of molding, using a warm flame to slowly shape it. This molding was the most important step in the refining process to determine the quality of the medicinal pill. The quality of the molding directly determined the rank of the medicinal pill. Thus, Xiao Qian did not dare to be careless. The uneven medicinal embryo slowly became smooth under the control of Xiao Qian's purple flame. Finally, a brightly colored medicinal pill was formed. Xiao Qian finally revealed a satisfied smile. Next up was the final step of nourishing it. Rings of multicolored pill markings started to appear on the medicinal pill. With a huang dang sound, the refined medicinal pill flowed out of the mouth and into the porcelain bottle. Xiao Qian picked it up and sniffed it. He felt slightly excited in his heart. Success! I succeeded on my first try. This is a good sign. Xiao Qian revealed a sincere expression of joy. He still had 4 batches of ingredients in the universe ring, he could not waste them. Xiao Qian started to continue refining. However, his luck was not as good as the first time. His success rate was only half, and he failed twice. However, his overall success rate was not low. After putting away the 3 beauty-nourishing pills, Xiao Qian headed for Lu Riyue's courtyard. When he arrived at Lu Riyue's door, he was about to knock when the door opened with a creak, revealing Lu Riyue's somewhat astonished face. The blood on Lu Riyue's body had already been washed clean. She had regained her usual appearance. She was still wearing the tight-fitting training robes, and her complexion looked much better. However, there was a faint scar on her face that had yet to fade. For a girl, this affected her beauty. However, based on Lu Riyue's appearance, she did not seem to mind. Is something the matter? Lu Riyue asked. Xiao Qian recovered his wits and nodded. He handed the beauty-nourishing pill to Lu Riyue and said, Elder sister Riyue, this is a beauty-nourishing pill that I refined myself. It can remove scars and nourish the skin. When Lu Riyue heard this, she smiled. She felt happy in her heart. All girls love to be beautiful. Naturally, Lu Riyue was no exception. It was just that she did not have a strong desire in this aspect. Are you trying to bribe master? Lu Riyue joked as she received the medicinal pill. Xiao Qian smiled faintly. Elder sister Riyue, I will be going to the Hall of Contributions later. I might not return to Qingyun Peak for a month. Merit Hall. Lu Riyue thought for a while before saying, it is good to go. Many of the martial techniques at the summit of Qingyun Peak require contribution points to exchange for. Come with me. Your basic saber techniques have already reached small perfection. Before we go, I will teach you a secret technique of Qingyun Peak. Xiao Qian's expression changed slightly. He said, Elder sister Riyue, your injuries have not healed yet. It is not good for you to circulate your essence. Let's talk about it after I return. Although Xiao Qian really wanted to learn Qingyun Peak's secret technique, given Lu Riyue's current condition, it was not a good time to teach it. If she circulated her essence while she was recuperating, it would be very harmful to her body. Lu Riyue smiled gently and said, there is no problem. I am very clear about my own body. Qingyun Peak, Dueling Grounds, Lu Riyue stood across from Xiao Qian and said, the Heavenly Saber Pavilion's martial techniques all have their own specialties. The speciality of Qingyun Peak's saber technique is its speed, a saber that is even faster than the wind. Hence, the secret techniques of Qingyun Peak are all related to speed. There is a total of 7 secret techniques of Qingyun Peak. According to the Lunar Shadow Saber, there is only one that is suitable for you, Clear Wind Chop. Clear Wind Chop. Xiao Qian remembered that he had once obtained a Clear Wind Chop martial technique. He could not help but rummage through his universe ring. After a while, he took out a martial technique manual and handed it to Lu Riyue. This is a martial technique manual that I obtained in the past. Is it this one? Lu Ryue felt it was strange. She received it and took a look. After that, under Xiao Chen's astonished gaze, she threw it into the air. Then, she drew her small saber and danced in the air. The clear wind chop manual was split open. Schwa! 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 Countless sounds of wind could be heard in the air. As Xiao Chen stood across from her, he could feel the intense wind. The cool breeze caused his clothes to flutter and his hair to flutter non-stop. The book trembled in the air. The pages of the book turned into loose pages and floated away. Then, they neatly fell from the air and stacked on top of each other. By the time the small saber returned to its scabbard, the pages of the book had already been split open. The book that fell to the ground was surprisingly neat. The topmost page was actually the cover of the book. If Xiao Chen had not seen it with his own eyes, he would have thought that the book on the ground was an intact book. It was too neat. This is an incomplete manual that was spread out. It is not very useful. What I executed earlier was the clear wind chop. I'm not sure if you saw it clearly. Lu Ryue explained to Xiao Chen. Nonsense, I only read it once. How could I have seen it clearly? Xiao Chen shook his head honestly. When Lu Ryue heard this, she said, "It is fine if you did not see it clearly. You just have to remember the main point of the clear wind chop. Clear wind, clear wind. Only the clear wind, not the saber. Only the clear wind, not the saber." Xiao Chen repeated this phrase in his heart a few times. Suddenly, he came to a realization. When Lu Ryue drew her saber, the saber sliced through the air and created a cool breeze. It was clearly an air current created by the saber. However, Xiao Chen could only feel the presence of the cool breeze. He could not feel the saber as clearly as the saber itself. Seeing that Xiao Chen seemed to have understood something, Lu Ryue continued, "The meaning of this phrase is to hide your killing qi in the cool breeze. This way, the enemy will not be able to feel the presence of the saber. As such, they will not be able to judge the direction of your saber. It is just like this." After Lu Ryue spoke, she took a step forward. She drew her saber and an intense air current was generated. It immediately created an unending cool breeze. In a daze, Xiao Chen seemed to see the small saber in Lu Ryue's hand suddenly disappear into the air. Although he did not feel any killing qi, he felt it instinctively. He quickly reacted and took 2 steps back. The instant his feet landed on the ground, the small saber seemed to appear out of nowhere and cut the clothes on his chest. Lu Ryue sheathed her saber and turned around. She tossed a book to Xiao Chen and said, "This is the handwritten copy of the cool breeze chop. Although it is handwritten, it is complete. The one in your hand cannot compare to this. Alright, you can go now." Xiao Chen took a look at the secret technique in his hand. After he put it away, he asked, "Is this the end of teaching? It seems like I did not learn anything." Lu Ryue burst out laughing. She used the scabbard in her hand to smack Xiao Chen. "What else do you want? This is the essence of what I comprehended. It is enough for you to avoid taking a detour. Just remember the words I told you, only see the cool breeze, not the saber. That's right, don't take on missions that are too dangerous. After you return, I will teach you listening to the sword and communicating with it." Xiao Chen did not know how to reply. He felt that Lu Ryue's kindness was something that he could not bear, it was too heavy. Lu Ryue said, "There is no need for you to overthink this. Although we are only a few years apart, we are still master and disciple. Teaching you martial arts is part of my duty. Furthermore, helping you is also helping myself." After bowing sincerely to Lu Ryue, Xiao Chen turned around and walked out of the dueling ground. He prepared to leave Qingyun Peak and rush to the heaven viewing platform. After Xiao Chen was far away, Lu Ryue could not help but cough a few times. The Hall of Contributions, where the sect missions were issued, was located on the bustling heaven viewing platform. This was something that Xiao Chen had heard about along the way. After leaving Qingyun Peak, Xiao Chen immediately increased his speed and rushed to the heaven viewing platform. The heaven viewing platform was very eye-catching in the Lingyun mountain range. That huge platform could be seen even from far away. As the saying goes, looking at the mountain, one does not realize how far it is. Only when one walks do one realize how tiring it is. One could easily see the heaven viewing platform from Qingyun Peak. However, Xiao Chen had to run at full speed for 2 hours before he reached the foot of the mountain. The last time he came to the heaven viewing platform, he had used Gu Yunbin's jade ship. It was very convenient and not as troublesome as today. When Xiao Chen reached the peak, he looked at the tall heaven viewing platform. When he thought about how he had to climb all the way to the peak, he could not help but feel a headache. This junior brother is going to the heaven viewing platform, right? Sit on my flying spirit beast. You only need 2 inferior grade spirit stones. Little junior brother, sit on mine. I only need 1 inferior grade spirit stone. Furthermore, my spirit beast is faster than his. Just as Xiao Chen was about to walk up, a group of people suddenly appeared around him. These people all had a flying spirit beast behind them. They seemed to be sitting in a carriage. However, the price was frighteningly expensive. It was just a trip, yet it cost 1 inferior grade spirit stone. It was even more expensive than flying. In the end, Xiao Chen still spent an inferior grade spirit stone and rode on the flying spirit beast. He estimated the height of the heaven viewing platform. With his speed, it would be dark by the time he reached it. Time was not worth it. Furthermore, he did not lack spirit stones. He had just obtained a large sum of spirit stones earlier. There was still a large number of spirit stones in his universe ring. He would not feel any heartache if he used them now. After that person received the spirit stone, he immediately called Xiao Chen to sit on his flying spirit beast. His spirit beast was a little special, it was a wind-attributed bird. With a leap, a gust of wind blew, and he rose into the air, flying rapidly toward the top of the mountain. His speed was really as fast as he said. Seeing so many people possessing flying spirit beasts, Xiao Chen could not help but feel strange. How did they obtain flying spirit beasts? Among the spirit beasts that could be tamed, the value of flying spirit beasts was the highest. This was because they were the hardest to tame. When the owner of the spirit beast heard Xiao Chen's question, he smiled and replied, I used the sex contribution points to exchange for them. You can use the sex contribution points to exchange for them in the sex spirit beast hall. However, the ranks of these spirit beasts are rather low. Their value is not very high. Xiao Chen felt it was strange, so he asked, what do you mean? That person explained, there is no spirit blood jade, and they were not raised from a young age. Thus, the spirit beasts that are purchased are not more than rank 2. It is easy to imagine the strength of a rank 2 spirit beast. If you want to pull them out to fight, it is almost impossible. You would be thankful that they do not drag you down. Thus, you can only use them as transportation tools. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.